The street is narrow, draped in the quiet hush that only rain can bring. Each droplet falls with the weight of memory, soaking the cobblestones in a dark sheen. You walk slowly, your boots pressing soft echoes into the night, and above you, the gaslights stutter like tired lungs. Their flickering glow bends shadows into strange, stretched shapes, as if the night itself is breathing through the cracks of the world. Somewhere ahead, you hear the scrape of metal. It is a sound both old and practiced, like flint striking steel, a deliberate rhythm that belongs to no clock. You stop, sensing the shape of another presence. The air smells faintly of oil and damp iron, and you feel the faintest pulse of warmth radiating from the lamps as they wake, one by one. Then you see him, the lamplighter. He moves like water, slow and silent, his coat long enough to brush the ground. A narrow flame in his hand trembles, though the air is still. Each lamp he touches flares to life with a deep sigh, as if it has been holding its breath all day. Yet what strikes you most is not his work, but his face, pale, blurred by shadow. And his eyes, they do not blink. Not once. Not when the rain runs in thin rivers over his brow. Not when the flame brightens, close enough to sting. His gaze is fixed, steady, and it feels as though every inch of you is seen, weighed, and kept. In silence, you try to look away, to tell yourself he is only an old man doing his duty. But when the flame bends in his hand, you notice something strange. The lamps he lights seem to hold their glow differently, as though their light remembers more than it should. The pools of brightness shimmer as if stirred by unseen hands, their halos bending inward like watchful eyes. The lamplighter steps closer, his boots making no sound, though you can hear the rain drip from their edges. He passes you without a nod, without even the twitch of acknowledgement. Yet you feel the faintest brush of his sleeve against your coat, soft, deliberate. His silence is heavier than any word, and you hold your breath as he moves past. When you turn to look, he is already at the far end of the street, his flame dimming as though the night swallows it whole. But something lingers, a whisper so low you cannot tell if it comes from his lips or from the wet stones beneath your feet. It sounds like your name. You stand still, the cold of the night pressing against your chest, and listen. Nothing, only the rain tapping against glass, pooling in the cracks of the street. But when you take a step, you feel it, the strange, prickling certainty that you are being watched. Not from a window, not from the dark doorways, but from every lamp he has touched. Their glow feels alive now, pulsing faintly as you pass. Beneath, you think of leaving, of taking another route, but the street is a labyrinth of turns you don't remember taking. Behind you, the lamps seem to flicker in unison, as though something unseen moves between them. Ahead, the path stretches longer than it should, each pool of light marking a slow rhythm of steps you haven't yet taken. And then, faintly, you see him again, not far, standing at the very edge of the street. His flame now dim and low, the lamplighter turns his head. His gaze meets yours across the rain-wet stretch of cobblestones. Though the distance is wide, you feel his presence pressing close, like a shadow folded over your shoulder. You walk, one step, then another. The lamps above you tremble with each step. You hear that whisper again, the voice like whetstone, cold and smooth, murmuring words you cannot quite understand. It doesn't frighten you, not exactly. It feels more like a warning, or a memory half remembered. When you reach the end of the street, he is gone. Only the faint hiss of his flame remains, the aftertaste of smoke and rain hanging in the air. You pause, turning in a slow circle. The lamps glow steady now, but something about them has changed. Their warmth feels too close, as though they lean toward you. You step back, and the shadows seem to breathe. Far above, the rainlight glimmers against windows, each pane clouded and blank. You catch yourself staring into one, a tall, narrow frame, with streaks of condensation like thin fingers. For an instant, you think you see a reflection, not your own, a face, eyes that do not blink. You step away from the glass. A soft shiver moves through you, but it is not fear. It is more like the hush before a dream, that thin veil of knowing that something old and strange is nearby. The rain hums low. You find yourself walking again, this time with slower steps, as if the street itself has lulled you into its quiet. Rhythm, the lamps watch, but you don't resist. The lamplighter, wherever he has gone, has left behind a stillness that wraps around your shoulders like a damp blanket. It is both unsettling and oddly comforting, a presence that reminds you that the night is alive, yet will not harm you. Somewhere in the distance, a door closes. The sound is soft, like a sigh folded into wood. You glance down the next stretch of street, and for a heartbeat, you think you see the flicker of that same narrow flame, just a shimmer, like a memory slipping around a corner. You follow, not because you want to, but because the light feels like a path, gentle, persuasive, as though guiding you somewhere you cannot yet name. The shadows close in, thicker now, and you feel the texture of the rain in your hands, cool and grainy, as if the air has turned to wet silk. Your breath slows. The world narrows to the faint glow of the lamps and the gentle hum of rain, and somewhere, deep within that hush, you sense that the lamplighter is still here, watching, waiting, not gone at all. You pause, and in the distance, a single flame blooms. On a lamp that should have gone dark, it flares once, then steadies, its glow almost warm. And as you look at it, you feel your pulse slow. The night doesn't frighten you anymore. It simply folds around you, like it knows you belong. And yet, as you take one last step past the glowing lamp, you feel the faintest touch of eyes that will not close. Eyes that will follow you, even after you leave this street. The air remembers, and somewhere ahead, in a house with a single fogged window, something waits to speak. Whispers from the window pane the guest room is quiet, save for the sound of rain. It taps gently against the glass, soft and rhythmic. Not a storm, not a downpour, but the kind of rain that has no beginning or end. The kind that feels like it's always been falling. The kind that makes time slow. You sit by the window, wrapped in a thin shawl, watching the drops chase each other down the glass. They weave crooked paths, blurring the world outside into a wash of shadow and grey light. The trees beyond sway lazily, though the air in here remains still. The room smells, faintly of old lavender and forgotten stories. Dust clings to the edges of the floorboards, and the wallpaper is faded, curling in places where dampness has taken hold. The bed is low and firm, the kind you might find in a nursery that hasn't changed in decades. The curtains are pale blue, though they've aged to a soft grey at the edges, and you notice now that they move, not with the wind, but with something slower, gentler, like breath. You haven't opened the window, and yet the curtains ripple outside. The garden is lost. To mist, you see outlines, a swing that sways without a child, a small statue of a faun, half covered in ivy. The path leading from the back gate disappears into the wet fog like a thread drawn into cotton. You watch it, half waiting for a figure to emerge. But no one comes. Still, the knocking begins. It's soft, almost polite. Not from the door, not from the hallway, from the glass. You lean closer, breath catching slightly. But the window pane is unbroken, locked tight with its latch rusted from years of disuse. Nothing moves beyond it. Only the rain continues, tapping in an odd rhythm, not random now, almost musical, almost purposeful. You place your fingertips gently on the glass. It's cold, but not wet. On the other side, a raindrop halts, then slides sideways. Your breath fogs the pane, and in the center of the fog, a small handprint, child-sized, delicate, pressed from the outside. You step back, not in fear, but in that hush of surprise that comes when something forgotten brushes close again. The kind of feeling you get when a song you haven't heard in years drifts through an open window. Then you hear it, a lullaby. It rises faintly from the far corner of the room, from a place between wall and shadow, hummed, not sung. A few gentle notes, no words. The melody circles, hesitant, trembling, then disappears before it can end. The room stills. You wait, but the song does not return. Only the rain keeps speaking. You explore slowly, feet bare against the wooden floor. It creaks softly beneath your weight, each step echoing faintly as if the room listens. On the small dresser by the wall, you find a comb, still holding a few strands of golden hair. There's a toy rabbit too, frayed at the ears, missing a button eye. It sits slumped against a candle that hasn't burned in years. Someone lived here, someone small, someone who loved this window. There's a diary tucked beneath the bed. You don't read it. The pages are stiff with damp, the ink bleeding into the paper like secrets, trying to stay hidden. But inside the cover is a name. Eliza. You whisper it aloud, just once, and the curtains move again. This time, the window breathes in. Not air, but memory. You feel it, a pull from the other side. Not strong, just enough to make your hand lift. Just enough to make your fingers hover near the latch. You don't open it, but you don't move away either. Instead, you listen. And again, the lullaby returns. This time, it's closer. Still humming, still unfinished. Your eyes drift toward the corner of the room where the wallpaper curls and a rocking chair sits facing the wall. It hadn't been facing that way when you entered. You step toward it, carefully, as if not to wake something. The chair moves, slowly, one rock forward, one back, just enough to squeak against the floor. No one sits in it, but you feel warmth in the air, as if someone had been there moments ago. And then, the humming stops. A low sigh fills the room, soft and tired, not human, not quite, just breath. A long, old breath. Your eyes return to the window. The handprint is gone. But now, on the outside glass, you see lines drawn in the condensation. They form words, simple, childlike. Still here, you don't run. You don't scream, because it feels more sad than scary, like something waiting to be remembered. The rain outside turns heavier, but the inside remains dry. The candle on the dresser, long thought useless, suddenly flickers to life. No match was struck, no sound marked its beginning, and in its tiny flame, shadows move. They don't dance, they don't stretch. They simply shift, gathering around the chair, around the comb, around the words on the window. And then they dissolve, folding inward like sleep. You feel your breath deepen. Your limbs grow still. The presence in the room no longer presses. It cradles, as if the house has made space for you. You lie down. The bed is firmer than expected, but it holds you gently. The rain begins a new rhythm, softer, warmer, like lullaby beats against the glass. And somewhere between waking and sleep, you feel her not near, not far, just beside. A comfort woven through the walls, a name barely spoken, a memory watching from the pane, and through the foggy glass, something begins to form. A path, lit faintly, winding through trees, back and back and back, to a place where the woods do not let go. The forest path that loops at midnighted begins with a gate. Rusted iron, half sunken into soft earth, standing alone at the end of a narrow trail. There is no fence, no wall, just the gate, hanging slightly, ajar, as though left open by something that didn't expect to return. The woods beyond breathe quietly. The trees lean close, tall and draped in moss that glows silver in the moonlight. The path between them is narrow, winding, covered in pine, needles and the soft shimmer of recent rain. You step through the gate without touching it. The moment your foot crosses the threshold, something shifts behind your ears, a hum low and steady, like the forest has noticed you. Your boots make no sound on the moss. Even the birds do not stir, only the distant whisper of rain falling. Somewhere far above the canopy reminds you that the world is still moving. You follow the path, slow and steady. The air is cool, but not cold, rich with the smell of damp bark and old leaves. As you walk, you begin to feel the forest fold inward, subtly turning your steps back, toward where you began, except it isn't quite the same. A tree that wasn't. There before, a stone turned on its side. A sound, a bell. No, just the creak of a distant branch. You pause, breathe, and somewhere behind you a voice speaks, not loud, not urgent, just soft. Calm your name. You turn slowly, but there's nothing there. Only the winding trail, half lit by misted moonlight, sloping back the way you came. You listen longer than you mean to, but the voice does not repeat itself. You continue on. The trees thicken. Their trunks stand closer now, their roots like slow-moving rivers beneath your feet. Vines hang low, and small white flowers glow faintly where the moonlight touches them. You reach to brush one with your fingers. It closes slowly, like an eye going to sleep. You keep walking. The path seems familiar again. Too familiar. The same bend, the same hollow log, the same curl of vine wrapped around a rock. You're certain you've passed this way already. Yet you remember turning, not circling. The rain begins to fall, softly at first. Drops patter against the leaves, then against your shoulders, warm and gentle, not like weather, but like touch. You close your eyes for a moment. When you open them, the trail ahead is gone, dot in its place. 5 new ones appear. They branch out in quiet invitation, each framed by arching trees, each nearly identical, yet something beneath your skin tells you they are not the same. You choose one, it loops, back to the gate, but the gate looks newer now, the iron less rusted. The path behind you gone. You do not panic. The forest hums around you, not hostile, not friendly, just aware, watching, breathing. The gate creaks as you pass it again. You walk, the path narrows. The sky above closes, heavy with dripping leaves. Your skin is damp, but you are not chilled. You feel as if the forest has remembered you, and is, folding you deeper into its memory. Another voice now, not behind, beside, just beyond the bark of a tree that leans like a shoulder. It whispers a lullaby you don't recognize, but somehow know. The kind sung by someone who once kept you safe. You pause again, but there is no singer, no child. Only a wooden sign nailed to a tree. The letters, carved deep, worn smooth. Loop ends at sleep. You touch it. The wood is warm. The rain glides over it as though it doesn't want to sink in. You turn a corner, and you are back. The gate again, but now it's closed. The latch is old, twisted with vines, and when you touch it, the metal feels like skin. You open it gently. It doesn't resist. You take another path. This one curves downward, deeper into the earth. The forest changes. Thinner trees, broader leaves. No flowers here, only small, glimmering mushrooms tucked in clusters along the trail. They blink faintly when stepped near, like tiny lanterns nodding in the dark. You feel a presence now, not menacing, more curious. Each turn of the trail feels watched. Each branch above creaks with the weight of something not quite animal. You don't look up. Instead, you listen, and you begin to hear footsteps. Not behind, not yours, just alongside, soft, gentle. Sometimes pausing when you pause. You speak a word, maybe hello, maybe your name. The forest responds by falling silent. The rain holds its breath. Then, a soft reply. Your voice, but not spoken, echoed, as though the trees remember how you sound. You continue, and then, a clearing. Small, circular. Stones arranged in a wide spiral, barely visible under the moss. In the center stands a tree, taller than the rest, older, hollow at the base. You approach it slowly. The spiral of stones urges you inward, and there, just before the tree, you see your boots, not the ones on your feet. An older pair, worn, mud-caked, laced the same way you always lace them. You bend down, touch them, still damp, still warm. You do not remember leaving them here, but they belong to you, and the tree breathes a slow inhale, not of air, but of time. And in that moment, you realize this forest does not loop like a circle, it loops like a memory. Each return is not the same. Each echo carries something more. You turn again. The path behind you waits, gently rearranged. You do not walk it, you sit, letting the moss rise against your palms, letting the rain soak your shoulders, letting the night press close, but never. Tight above, the leaves shimmer with soft silver. The lullaby returns. No words, just the tune. And a voice says, in a hush of bark and breeze, not lost, just remembering. You close your eyes, and when you open them, you are walking again. No gate this time, only a path, and ahead, faint through the trees, the outline of a house, a crooked roof, dim light behind a window, and beneath it all, a sound, a creak, a shuffle as though something beneath the floorboards has begun to stir. A visitor beneath the floorboards. You arrive just before dusk. The rain follows you up the hill, chasing your footsteps with slow persistence. The inn is older than it appears. At first glance, its frame sagging slightly to one side, shingles warped like ripples in a forgotten song. A thin chimney exhales, smoke that smells of wet ash and something older. The innkeeper greets you without lifting her eyes. Her hands tremble as she passes you the key. Second floor, end of the hall, she says. Her voice is quiet, practiced. No other guests tonight. You nod. She does not smile. The stairway sighs as you climb it, boards shifting under your weight like tired bones. At the top, the corridor tilts ever so slightly, and each door you pass seems to lean inward, listening. Your room is the last one. The door opens without resistance, as though expecting you. Inside, everything is simple. A narrow bed, a wooden chair, a window with sheer curtains, stained the color of dried leaves. A small dresser stands in the corner, its mirror cloudy with age. You set your bag down, sit, listen. There is silence. But it is not empty. The silence here breathes. You lie on the bed and feel it, that slight, rhythmic creaking beneath the floorboards. Not loud, not immediate, but familiar, like someone gently shifting in their sleep beneath your feet. You tell yourself it's the old wood, the inn settling against the rain, but the pattern is too aware. The groan of the boards follows no wind. It comes and goes like thought. As night deepens, the room grows colder. You pull the blanket tighter, yet the chill lingers. Outside, the rain falls in a slow, steady rhythm. The trees are barely visible through the fogged window, their shapes wavering like half-formed memories. You listen again, and this time you hear it. Not just movement, breath from beneath, drawn slow, released slower. You sit upright. The mattress is firm beneath you, but there's an odd softness to the center, as though something is shifting just below. You press your palm against the floor beside the bed. It is warm. There is no heat in the room, no fire, no vent, just warmth beneath the wood. You kneel, ear close to the floorboards. You hear a hum, faint, low, like someone thinking just under the threshold of sound. Then the unmistakable whisper of your name. You rise quickly, heart calm but curious. Something is beneath the room, something aware. You pull back the rug near the edge of the dresser. There, hidden under its fringe, is a trapdoor, small, old. The wood pale from time, its handle tarnished and damp. You touch it, it opens with ease. Below, nothing but darkness, not even stairs, just space. The kind of space that waits. You lower the rug again. You do not go down. Not yet that night. You sleep with one eye on the window and one ear pressed to the mattress, and you hear it again, a soft knocking. Not on the door, from beneath, like fingers brushing up against the underside of the floorboards. Not scratching, not clawing, just waiting. The next morning, the innkeeper avoids your gaze. You slept well, she asks. You nod. She doesn't believe you. Later, you see her kneeling outside your room. Her lips move silently. She presses something, a bundle of twigs and string, beneath your door. When she sees you watching, she pretends she wasn't there. By evening, the knocking returns this time. The boards beneath the bed shift slightly upward. Just a breath. Just enough for the air to change. You lie still, and you speak. You ask it, whatever it is, what it wants. The room, hush, the rain stills, and from beneath the floorboards, you hear a word. Remember, you do not ask what it means, because you already know. The dreams that follow are not your own. You see a child, eyes wide, drawing shapes on the walls. You see someone hiding beneath the bed, fingers pressed to their lips. You see the room as it was, before it was painted over. You wake to find your hand touching the floorboards, and your name written faintly in the fog. On the mirror, not your handwriting, not quite. You look beneath the bed. There is nothing there, yet the warmth lingers, and when you whisper, I see you, the room creaks, once gently, as if something has settled, but not left. Later that night, you hear footsteps outside your door, but the hallway is empty. Only the shadows stretch long and low. You sit at the edge of the bed. You do not speak. The floor whispers again. Not a word this time. A melody, the same lullaby from the forest, but slower and sadder. You lie down, letting the sound hold you, letting the weight of the room fold into your bones. And as sleep pulls you close, you feel something beneath the bed shift once more. This time, it hums with you, matching your breath, matching your dream. And in that final moment, before sleep takes you, you realize the visitor beneath the floorboards never left. It's been waiting, not to frighten you, but to be remembered. And somewhere, just beyond this night, a statue stands. In the rain, eyes closed, until they begin to weep. The statue that weeps in rain. The graveyard lies just beyond the edge of the village, where the lanterns grow sparse and the trees lean with grief. You find yourself walking there near twilight, drawn not by memory or duty, but by something quieter, a pull, a knowing in the chest that feels older than logic. The rain begins before you reach the gate, a slow, cold drizzle, soft as breath. On the back of the neck, the cemetery is still. No birds, no wind, only the steady rhythm of droplets against stone. The statue waits near the center. She stands tall, cloaked in moss-stained robes, hands gently folded at her waist, eyes cast downward. A woman of stone, unnamed, unclaimed, with her face half tilted toward the sky, as though listening for something that never came. You don't remember when you first heard the stories. Perhaps it was whispered by the innkeeper. Perhaps a child once told you in passing, fingers trembling as they pointed up the hill. She cries when it rains. You step closer. The path here is uneven cobblestones, swallowed by time and earth. As you approach, you notice the offerings. Not flowers, not candles. Small things, a key, a child's drawing sealed in glass, a lock of hair tied with thread, and a stone carved with a name that's been scratched away. The statue towers above. Them, her stone eyes glisten with rain. But then you see it. From the corner of one eye, a single stream. Not fast, not heavy, just a slow, steady line of water that flows like sorrow, down the cheek, over the lip, along the neck, dripping, eventually, to the earth below. You look up at the sky. The rain is falling evenly. Nothing above her should create a channel. Like that, yet the stream continues, constant and unmoving in direction. You step closer. Her features are too delicate for erosion. The tears are real. The longer you watch, the less it feels like water, more like memory, more like a story too full to hold. You sit on the bench nearby. The stone is cold, but you do not mind. The air is rich with damp ivy and something faintly metallic, like wet coins. The village behind you is quiet. A bell tolls, muffled by mist. The statue watches the ground, and you begin to feel her eyes shift, only slightly, not movement. Presence, like the sensation of someone looking at you when your back is turned. You try to look away, but something in the air stills you. The rain thickens. The path behind you begins to puddle. The trees sigh in the distance, leaves twitching, as though remembering wind, and then a drop lands on your cheek. Not from the sky, from above. You wipe it away. It feels warm. The statue leans slightly forward now. Not a full change, but just enough for her hands, once folded neatly, to be slightly parted. A space between the fingers that wasn't there before. You blink, the offerings have shifted. The drawing is gone in its place. A small toy bell, rusted, still ringing softly. You look down, the puddles at your feet ripple. Though there's no breeze, you hear something behind the statue. A breath. You stand. Circle slowly. Nothing, only the stone base, lichen covered, cracked along the back. A line of old writing etched along the edge. Half erased by rain, you kneel to read it. Only a few words remain. She waits still. You touch the stone. It is warm beneath the surface. And for a moment, just a moment, you hear a voice, faint, humming. The same lullaby, again, only now. Slower. Woven through the raindrops like thread. You walk a slow circle around the statue. As you pass in front again, you realize her eyes are open now. Not wide, just enough to see that glisten. No longer with just rain, but reflection, and in the glassy surface of those stone eyes, you see a figure. Yourself, but not here, in a room you don't remember. A child's room, a door slightly ajar, a lullaby playing softly from beneath the bed. You step back, and the stream of tears stops. The rain doesn't tea, but the tears do. The silence deepens. You feel the weight of time pressing in. Not heavy, just remembered. The statue's hands have returned to stillness, but her eyes remain open. They do not close, and now you understand. It's not that she weeps because it rains. The rain falls because she weeps. You leave quietly down the hill, past the crooked stones, past the iron gate that didn't creak before, but creaks now. You do not look back, because when you listen closely, you hear a door opening above. Not in the cemetery, in the attic, the one no one climbs, but tonight, it's already open. The sleeper in the attic room. You've never meant to climb the attic stairs. Not really, the door has always been there. At the end of the upper corridor, behind a line of old trunks and leaning brooms. A narrow wooden frame, with a crooked brass knob that never locks, never squeaks, but never quite stays shut either. It opens just a sliver at dusk. Every dusk, no wind touches it. No footsteps pass, and yet, the moment the sun slips behind the hill and the sky turns to bruised silver, the attic door always clicks open, just wide enough to see the first step, and the fine line of dust untouched for years. Tonight, something feels different. The statue still weeps behind your thoughts. The forest still folds its memory into your breath. But the inn is silent, heavier, as if it's holding something behind its ribs. You pass the last guest room. The windows are all shut tight, yet you feel wind on your cheek, cold, dry, and tinged with dust. The attic door is open wider. Now, enough to invite. You pause. Your hand finds the frame. It's cool. The wood is smooth, worn down by palms that haven't belonged to this time. You step inside. The stairs creak beneath your weight, but not as you expect. The sound is softened, absorbed into the walls, like breath into cloth. Each step carries you upward into air that tastes like old wood, dried paper, and lavender that once lived. Cobwebs brush your face, but none cling. They part as if something has passed before you. The attic stretches long and low. Sloped beams arch overhead, their shadows folding like prayer hands. The only light comes from a single oval window near the far end, fogged with age, streaked by rain. But still holding the last glow of evening. Dust hangs in the air like quiet snow. You move slowly, boots muffled by thick layers of memory. Then, You see it, the figure in the corner. It lies curled, draped in a pale sheet that shimmers faintly in the gloom, not breathing, not moving, yet undeniably present. You don't feel afraid. Not truly. More like reverence, as though you've stepped into a dream you weren't meant to remember. You move closer. The figure is small, maybe the size of a child, though the shape beneath the sheet is long, too long. Fingers, perhaps, or something. Not quite hands. Peek just barely beneath the hem. They are still, but the air around them trembles. You kneel, and that's when you hear it. A sound beneath the silence. The slow, rhythmic murmur of dreaming. Not breath, not words, but thought, somehow. Thought. The kind that glows dimly beneath the skin. You lean close, and from deep within the stillness, you hear a memory that is not your own. It's a voice, a girl, whispering a song to a doll with no face. A storm outside. A door slamming shut, not by wind, but by choice. Then, silence. And after the silence, sleep. Deep sleep, willing, protective. You rise gently. There's a dresser nearby, low, covered in dust and dried flowers. A journal rests atop it, bound, in leather worn thin at the corners. You open it. The pages are blank, all but one, the first dot, written in a hand that grows less certain as the ink stretches. I remember too much, so now I sleep. The page smells faintly of lilac. You look back at the figure. The dust hasn't settled on it. It settles on everything else. Your boots, your hands, the window ledge, but not on the sleeper, because something here is still. Listening, still alive, still waiting. You take one step backward. The floor does not creak. The light behind the oval window dims, and suddenly you notice something new. A mirror on the far wall, cracked at the center, covered by a gauze sheet. You approach. The reflection comes slowly, a blur, a smear, until your face settles in the surface. But beside your shoulder, another shape, too tall, too still. You turn, no one there, but the attic air is colder, and the figure in the corner now faces the window. The sheet hasn't moved, but its position has no sound, just rearranged. You do not run, because the attic doesn't want to harm you. It wants to be remembered, to be known. You step toward the door. The stairs wait, and as you descend, each creak is softer than the last, as if the house is letting you go, gently behind. The attic door swings closed, not fast, but with finality, and a single whisper follows you down when you forget. I wake. Back in your room, the mirror above the dresser fogs without breath. You write nothing, you sleep lightly, and you dream of shadows that do not move, until they begin to dream as well. And through it all, from the hallway, you hear the floor creaked once, then again, and in between. A pause long enough to imagine another pair of footsteps, another thought, another watcher, and somewhere down the hall, a door that no one booked slowly unlocks. The echoes that don't belong to youth hallway has changed. Not visibly. The walls are still faded rosewood. The rug still runs the length of it. A maroon threadbare runner edged in gold. The paintings still hang crooked on their nails. Stern faces, foggy lakes, silhouettes in the distance. But the space feels deeper, longer. You step out of your room. Your footsteps fall softly, but to return, not louder, not delayed, just doubled. Like a reply, you pause. Silence then, faintly, the exact echo of your last step. It falls where you would have stepped next, but you didn't. You breathe slowly, watching the corridor ahead stretch just slightly more than it did before. The light bulbs flicker, not all at once, just in sequence, as though something is pacing just ahead. You call out. Your voice sounds normal, even clear. But the voice that replies from the end of the hallway isn't quite the same. It is your voice, but softened, as if spoken from inside a dream you haven't had yet. You don't make out the words, only the cadence, a reflection, not a recording. You take another step forward. The air bends, the lights behind you dim slightly. Ahead, the corridor seems to breathe outward, expanding like lungs. You glance at the wallpaper. The roses along the trim pulse faintly, as if wind moves beneath them. You keep walking. Each step returns with one of its own. No closer, no farther, perfectly parallel, a second you, moving where you are not. The air grows cooler, but not unkind. You pass the grandfather clock at the hallway's midpoint. It ticks slowly, then stops. The second hand freezes. You listen, but the ticking continues. Not from the clock, from within the walls. You place your hand against the paneling. It vibrates faintly, like something mechanical thinking behind the wood. You speak again, a simple sentence. I'm just passing through. There is a long pause. Then, you always say that. It's your voice exactly, but said before you said it. You feel a prickle at the base of your spine, not fear, but recognition, as though something here has known you longer than you've known yourself. You continue down the corridor. Doors pass by, each closed, each without a number. You glance at the mirror near the far wall. Your reflection is there, but so is someone else just behind you, not quite in focus. A presence shaped like your outline, but missing small details. A face to blurred, shoulders slightly off. You turn no one, but the mirror still holds both. The you that walks, and the you that waits. You approach the final door. You don't remember it being there. There's no handle, no hinges, only a panel of smooth black wood. You reach out, and before your fingers touch it, it opens inward into nothing. Only darkness, but within it, footsteps, yours, faster, running, then stopping. You listen, then whisper, "Who are you?" The answer is immediate. I am who you would be if you had not left. The floor tilts slightly beneath your feet. Not physically, but something in your memory turns sideways. You step back. The door, if it was a door, is gone behind you. The hallway is shorter now. The lights brighter, the paintings hang straight, and the runner on the floor is red again. Not maroon dot fresh, as though never walked. You glance behind one last time. The mirror still shows two of you, but the other is smiling, just faintly, not mockery, not threat. Something like understanding. You walk back to your room. The door closes behind you without. Your touch, your reflection in the window glass breathes, slower than you. You don't mind because it's been listening, and tonight, you feel less alone. Even when you speak nothing, you hear the reply, already waiting, already known. And just as sleep finds you, the rain begins to fall again. But this time, it's falling inside. The rain that fell inside the house you wake to. Dampness, the kind that doesn't chill the skin, but clings to the air. Gentle, persistent, a scent of old water and plaster hangs around you, like the aftermath of a dream where someone whispered to the walls. The first thing you notice is the puddle. It stretches just beyond your bed, round and glassy, reflecting not the ceiling above, but the window. Even though the window is shut, even though the curtains haven't moved, you rise slowly, feeling the soft give of your mattress, the heavy breath of the house pressing gently into your ribs. The rain outside is light. You hear it tapping, not on the roof, but on the inside walls. A muffled patter, as though the wallpaper itself is wet. You step onto the floor. The rug is damp beneath your feet, not soaked. Just enough to feel like it's remembering something. There's a trail. It begins at the window. A faint line of drops that shimmer slightly in the dim morning light. And it leads directly to the side of your bed. You crouch, touch the floor. The drops are warm, not freshly fallen, but recently returned. You walk toward the window. Slowly your hand presses to the glass. It's dry outside. Rain falls from the sky, as it always has. But inside, here it rises. You see it now from the puddle near your bed. Droplets lift one by one, small, shimmering spheres that rise gently, hesitating in the air like unsure thoughts. They float up and press themselves against the inside of the window, then vanish, no streak, no residue, gone don't. You step back. The air vibrates softly, a low hum, like the room is exhaling a secret. You speak aloud, just a name, your own. Nothing replies, but the puddle shifts, just slightly, as if something beneath it stirs in response. You look down. The reflection isn't yours. It's close, but the eyes are closed, and the mouth is whispering, though your lips are still. You kneel again. Try to listen, and beneath the surface of the puddle, you hear a lullaby. The same one, always the same one, but slower and sung from underwater. You rise, leave the room. The hallway stretches as it did before, but tonight it pulses. The walls are damp to the touch, and as you pass the sconces, small droplets form at their bases, like sweat on porcelain skin. The floor creaks in rhythm, Dotshore. Rhythm, but delayed. You walk toward the stairs. They are wet, not soaked, but gently shimmering at the bottom. Another puddle. You pause on the third step. Something rises from it. A memory, not yours, but close. A child barefoot, running through this house, chasing laughter that sounds like yours. Voice calls to them from above, not to come upstairs, not tonight, never again. The puddle shivers, then stills. You reach the base of the stairs. The puddle follows your movement, not like water, but like thought. It trails you into the kitchen, where the ceiling is dry, where the dishes are stacked perfectly, where the water runs upward from sink to pipe, not gushing, just flowing home. The hum grows louder here, a frequency low and full, like the house is trying to speak through the throat of its own plumbing. You kneel, press your palm to the floor, and feel it. Heartbeat, not yours, steady. UNMOVING, older than breath. You look around. Every puddle that formed is gone, now absorbed or taken back, except one beneath the back door. A round shimmer, untouched by foot or draft. You reach for the knob, but the door opens before your hand touches it. Rain waits outside, gentle, forgiving, but none of it falls in. It only watches. You close the door softly. The puddle is still there, and now, in its center, a single drop rises but does not float. It hovers, QIVRS, and then speaks a single word, stay. Not aloud, but felt behind the ribs, in the teeth. in the soles of your feet. You exhale and step away. The puddle sinks, drains into the floor like breath drawn in. And behind you, the house falls silent again, still damp, still humming, but calm. You walk back to your room, past the mirror in the hallway. Your reflection is dry, but the floor beneath it is soaked. You pause, touch the glass. This time it's wet. You wipe your fingers, and the fogged outline of another handprint remains. Not yours, but open, as if pressing outward. You speak nothing, and still, a voice in your head replies. You've been here before. You enter your room. The puddle is gone, but your socks are wet. You sit, stare at the window. The rain still falls upward inside the glass, returning to a place it cannot name. And just as you lie back, settling into sleep, your chair turns quietly, gently now, facing the wrong wall. The room that rearranges itself the first time it's subtle. You wake to the smell of dust warmed by morning, the faint sound of rain murmuring against the windows, and your chair, once set beside the window for quiet reflection, now sits in the corner. Facing the wall, you think nothing of it. Not at first. The house is old. Floors slant, furniture creaks. Wood remembers weight. Perhaps you moved it yourself and simply forgot. But the second time, it feels different. The chair has moved again. Now, beside the dresser, blocking a drawer you know you left open. Except the drawer is closed, locked. You don't remember locking it. You don't even recall there being a key. You check your bag. The key rests at the bottom, old, brass, and cold. You unlock the drawer inside, your notebook, your scarf, your things. But something else rests there now. A page, torn from the back of your notebook. You didn't tear it. You would remember theirs. Writing a single line in unfamiliar script. Let it be how it wants to be. You leave the room to clear your head. When you return, the chair is back by the window, facing out this time, and the drawer is open. But the note is gone. The air is still, but full. Like the room is waiting for something it assumes you'll understand. Soon enough, that night, you stack a few books on the shelf before bed. By morning, to have fallen. Their titles facing backward, their spines cracked in the middle. You reach down to pick one up. Inside, a pressed leaf, dry, pale, not from any tree you've seen outside the house. You place the books back, but that night they fall again, exactly the same way. You try something new. You move the bed, just a few inches, enough to reclaim the space near the window. You mark its feet on the floor in chalk dot, then sleep by morning. It's flush against the opposite wall. No noise woke you, no scrape, no sound. The chalk marks remain untouched, but the bed is no longer where you left it. You place your hand on the mattress. It's still warm on the side that was against the wall. You whisper, "Why?" The room doesn't reply, but your notebook, still resting on the dresser, opens to a blank page. You didn't leave it open, and the page isn't blank. 3 words now, in the same unfamiliar hand. This is memory. You sit, feel the floor beneath. Your feet, it seems steady, but when you rise, the rug is turned. Its corner folded under just slightly, enough to make you pause to wonder what else has shifted while you weren't looking. The mirror, the frame on the wall, the faint scratch on the floor that now bends left, not right. You spin slowly in the center of the room. Nothing moves, nothing breathes, and yet the entire space exhales around you. You move the chair again, Set it. Facing the window, place a book on the seat. You leave. Close the door behind you. When you return, the chair faces the dresser. The book is gone. You check the drawers. Nothing. You lift the pillow. There it is, open to a page you hadn't reached. Your own handwriting this time, but words you don't remember writing. It's not the room, it's the house. You feel the floor tilt slightly beneath your feet. Not enough to throw. You dot just enough to guide. You sit on the edge of the bed. The mirror across the room now reflects the window twice. You try not to blink. It blinks first, then returns to normal. You lie down not because you're tired, but because the room is asking you to. You close your eyes, feel the weight of the blanket adjust on its own. Hear the drawers click shut, hear the chair slide just once, and when you open your eyes again, you're facing the other wall, and the bed has moved with you. Her shadow stayed behind. There's a room in the house no one speaks of. Not locked, not hidden, but avoided. Its door is always slightly open, just enough to remind you it's there. The kind of opening that waits, not invites. You walk past it. Each night, and though you never step inside, your eyes catch the shape on the far wall. A stain, or maybe a shadow, faint, human. And still, it's not cast by anything in the room. It doesn't follow the light. And when you shine a lamp inside, it does not move. It simply stays. Arms at its sides, head tilted slightly. A woman's silhouette burned into the plaster like memory pressed too hard. The rain outside taps the windows like gentle insistence. It's always raining when you notice her. Always soft, always cold. Tonight, you stop in front of the door. You look in, no footsteps behind you, no echo of movement, just the shape, the not shadow. She's facing forward now. You can feel it, the tilt of her posture, the weight of unseen eyes, still arms, still legs, but her attention has shifted to you. You enter, not quickly, but slowly. The way you might enter a chapel after something sacred has passed through it. The room is bare, an old dresser, a mirror cracked. In one corner, no bed, no curtains, and her shadow on the far wall. Not dark, but not faded, like something held between breath and forgetting. You walk across the floor. Your shoes leave no sound, and still the feeling grows that she hasn't left, that the rest of her paused. You raise your hand, and though the light remains still, the shadow's fingers twitch just once. You step closer. The air thickens, not heavy, but aware. Your breath clouds slightly in the center of the room, and you realize the temperature here is different. Not colder, just older. You glance at the mirror. There's no reflection of you, only of her. The silhouette, not in the glass, but behind it, faint, staring back. You place your hand to the wall. It's warm, too warm, and behind it, the softest vibration, like a song being hummed inside stone, a child's voice, or something that once was. You lower your hand. The shadow lengthens across the wall, across the floor, toward you. You whisper, "What did you leave behind?" And the mirror fogs. In the condensation, words appear. "I didn't." You turn slowly. The doorway behind you feels farther away. Now narrower. You step back. The shadow doesn't follow, but it watches. You feel it. The silence of being seen by something that once had skin, that once had breath. You speak again. "I can remember for you." A pause, then a drop of rain falls inside, from the ceiling onto the shadows. Shoulder, it sinks into the wall and leaves behind a darker mark. A tear, perhaps, or something heavier. You leave. Close the door softly behind you, but as you do, you notice the shadow has shifted. She's closer to the door. Now, just slightly. The wall still holds her, but less tightly. And down the hallway, the portrait of the old man, the one who never looked directly at you, now watches without blinking, his eyes fogged by rain, and behind the glass, a breath. The portrait that breathes the portrait hangs on the landing between the upper hall and the attic stair. It's been there since your first day in the house, perhaps longer. An oil painting, large and dark, framed in tarnished gold. There curls at the corners like dried leaves. The man within it is solemn. He wears a charcoal coat and a high collar, and sits with his hands folded over a closed book. His gaze, always downcast at first glance, seems to shift the longer you look at him, inching upward ever so slowly, as though he's remembering how to make eye contact. No one in the house speaks of him, but they glance at him often, and then quickly look away. Tonight, you don't. You stop. Face him and wait. Rain taps gently at the stained glass behind you. The frame fogs faintly along the inside. You lean in. The moisture clouds your own reflection, but not his. His eyes remain clear, shined, alive. You check the corner of the frame. A nameplate once sat there. It's been pried off, jagged edges of metal still biting into the wood. You exhale and sit on the steps. The air smells faintly of paint and linen, and something else, parchment, old pages. You reach out to touch the frame, and the glass shifts just slightly, a soft flex inward, as if something behind it took a breath. You freeze. Watch closely. His hands remain folded. The book remains closed, but the eyes, they move not all at once, like oil drying in slow streaks, one flicker at a time. They lift, now level with your own. You whisper, "I see you." And in that moment, the left corner of his mouth lifts. Only a hair's breadth, but enough. You rise. There's no fear in you, only stillness, like standing in a library, where each book has a heartbeat. You speak again. "Do you remember me?" His gaze holds steady, and the book in his lap shifts that the spine cracks softly, though no hand moves. One page lifts, then falls. You hear it, a dry, whispered sound. You lean closer, and the painting exhales, a slow, invisible breath that fogs the inside of the glass for the first time. On the fog, written in a childlike scrawl, "You asked that last time." You step back. The words fade. You descend the stairs, but the creaking follows you, not from the steps, from the canvas, wood stretching, paint warming. You glance over your shoulder. He's no longer seated, still in the frame, still in the chair, but something in the shoulders is higher, more alert, more listening. You walk the corridor again, and for the rest of the night, every mirror you pass shows his eyes watching from behind you, not lurking, not haunting, just remembering. And once, just once, you stop to look at yourself in the glass and see a faint hand on your shoulder, steady, still painted, the rain that fell inside. The house, the rain returned last night, but not from the sky. You awoke to stillness, the kind that usually blankets a house after midnight, only to find your room filled with the scent of fresh water. Not dampness, not mold. Rain. Clean, cold, ancient. Your sheets were dry, your body untouched. But when your feet touched the floor, the warmth of the wood was gone. It was wet, slick as stone after a storm. You stood slowly, looked down, puddles, perfect. Delicate pools, no more than the size of a teacup saucer, stretched out from the foot of your bed and into the hallway. They glimmered in the dark like they held their own moonlight. The ceiling above was dry, the windows shut. No leak, no crack, no storm outside, and yet it had rained. Inside, you stepped carefully into the hallway, your toes brushing water that should have run, but didn't. The puddles didn't move. They stayed still, holding shape, as if poured by a hand that didn't shake. The wallpaper here was damp to the touch, cool, soft, and it pulsed, just faintly. When your fingertips passed over it, like breath held beneath plaster, you reached the landing, looked down the stairs, and saw the puddles descending, one by one, not spilled, not tracked, placed, as if something or someone had walked upward through rain that wasn't falling, and left the sky behind with every step. Downstairs, you heard it, not dripping, rising the sound of rain, coming up from below the floorboards, soft at first, then steady, then real. You descended, each step drier than the one before. By the time you reached the foyer, your feet were dry again, but the ceiling, it wept. Raindrops clung to the beams, not falling, but trembling. You stood beneath one, watched it. It grew, shimmered, then rose, lifted upward, back into the wood grain from which it had come. You stepped away, and now you heard it not with your ears, but inside your chest. The house, humming, not singing, not groaning, humming, a low, contented tone, like a lullaby known only to beams and nails. You wandered into the sitting room, the fireplace cold, the chairs turned slightly, not the way you left them, facing the center now, where a basin sat. You didn't remember it being there. It was shallow, carved from stone, too old to name, and it was full, not overflowing, not empty, just full. You stepped toward it, and within the water's surface, smooth as skin, you saw your reflection, but you were sleeping, lying in your bed, peaceful, while your other self walked. You blinked, and the reflection blinked back, not at the same time, slightly ahead. You reached toward the basin, and the water rose to meet your fingertips. Not wet, not cold, just acknowledgement. The rain overhead began to quiet, retreating, reversing. The house exhaled, and the puddles disappeared, one by one, drawn back through cracks that no longer showed. And above you, the ceiling sealed itself dry again. But the scent of rain lingered. You turned every window, now held condensation from the inside, and on each one, traced by a single fingertip, you walked again. You returned upstairs, the hallway dry, the puddles gone, but your feet still remembered. You passed the portrait. His eyes were closed now, for the first time, as if he'd finally found rest. You reached your door. It was open inside. Your bed was perfectly made, but on the pillow, a single drop of water, still silent. And when you climbed beneath the covers, you felt it sink into the pillow beside your head, like something returning, not to haunt, to rest. The house stilled, the hum softened, and just before sleep took you, you heard it again, the rain, from somewhere deep in the walls, falling softly in reverse. The room that rearranges itself. Room is never how you leave it. Not exactly. When you wake each morning, it feels almost right. Your boots by the window, your coat folded neatly over the chair, your notebook on the bedside table, but the angles are wrong. Slightly, subtly, enough to make your spine tense before your eyes catch up. The chair, once beside the window, now faces the wall. The books on the shelf sit spine first. Your mirror reflects the ceiling, and your bed. It no longer faces the door. It turns slowly, night by night, a few inches at a time. Now, it stares into the corner, the one with no window, no light, just plaster that always feels damp to the touch. You move things back. You do it gently, as if you're apologizing, but each time you return from the hall, the stairs, the short walk to the kitchen, something has shifted again. A drawer open, a lamp facing the wall, a chair placed precisely where your knee will bump it in the dark. You test it. You place a book upright on the center of the rug, a glass of water on top. You mark its location in pencil. When you return, the book is gone, the water untouched, but a note sits in its place. In your handwriting, you knew it would. You sit. The room hums faintly, like breath caught in fabric. You ask aloud, why? The mirror fogs, the condensation slowly spells, to keep you here. You rise, walk to the bookshelf, touch the edges of each spine. They tremble. You pull one down, it falls open to the middle. A name is written there, yours, but the date beneath it is from 3 years ago. You hadn't been here then. You're certain. A drawer creaks behind you. Slowly, you don't look. You whisper, what do you want me to see? The light bulb above flickers. The floor shifts, not beneath your feet, but around them. Your boots are no longer by the window. They beside the bed, facing away as if someone wore them, and stood watching you sleep. You sit on the edge of the bed. Touch the coverlet. It's warm on the side. You don't use, you lie back. The ceiling above you has changed. It slopes now. You're certain it didn't before. And in the plaster, a faint outline appears, like something once painted over a door. You close your eyes, and in the darkness behind your lids, the furniture moves, not loudly, not violently, but steadily, like hands, rearranging a stage, preparing you open your eyes, and your bed faces the opposite wall again. You rise, and something soft brushes your leg. Your coat, no longer folded, lies on the floor, wet from rain that never came through the window. You hang it back up, but it sags as though still worn. You press your hand to the dresser. It breathes once, then stills. You check the door. It's slightly open. You didn't leave it that way, but something in the hallway waits, watching to see what you'll do next. You step outside, and behind you, the bed. Creaks, turning, facing facing the opposite wall, again. He left in 1953, but never checked out. Tit begins with the smell, old tobacco and cedarwood, something faintly metallic beneath it, like wet coins or the bite of a rusted key. You notice it whenever you pass. Room for the door is always shut, not locked, but closed with the firm gentleness of something that hasn't moved in years, or rather, something that has moved often, but always returns to rest in the same place. There's a coat hanging on the peg outside, dark brown wool, weathered smooth where the elbows used to bend, and beside it, under the narrow bench, a pair of rain boots, heavy, dull, caked with dried earth that hasn't flaked in decades. You've never seen anyone go in, never heard anyone leave, but the coat is sometimes damp, and once, just once, you saw a newspaper tucked into its sleeve. The date, March 17th, 1953. That was last week. You asked the innkeeper once. She said only, he keeps to himself. No name, just a nod toward the hallway. You waited one evening, seated in the chair across the corridor. Nothing, no footsteps, no keys turning. But from beneath the door, a line of light appeared around midnight. Pale, golden, and with it, sound. Radio. Crackling. Humming. A voice speaking slow, dreamy syllables that didn't quite make sense. You recognized the station. It hasn't broadcast since the late 60s. The next morning, the light was gone, the hallway still. But when you passed the room again, the boots had shifted, slightly angled now, as though recently stepped from you. Knocked once. Silence. You knock again. A hum replies, not from within, from the radio, which now plays. Again, static and low voices behind it, just enough to tangle in your ears. The knob turns. Not yours. From the other side, you wait, but the door doesn't open. Instead, it breathes a deep sigh from the wood itself, and you hear a voice, not through the keyhole, but inside your head. A man's voice, calm, dry. You're early, you whisper back. For what? No reply. Only the soft hiss of the radio, and the faint click of the lock sliding shut again. You step back, but something is tucked under your door when you return to your room. Note typed. On yellowing paper. You'll need an umbrella. The rain here remembers who leaves. That night, you dream of room 4, but the hallway is endless, and the boots walk alone. You watch them. They do not run. They do not trip. They pace, always. Just ahead of you, always just out of reach. When you wake, your boots are wet, though you haven't been outside in days. The coat by room 4 is missing, only for a few hours. Then it's back, dry. This time, but the sleeves hang differently, as if waiting for arms that haven't quite returned. You sit beside the door again, listen. Tonight the radio plays music. Something soft, something orchestral, and behind it, a voice whispers your name. The candle that won't blow out was never your candle. You found it on the nightstand when you first arrived. Short, ivory, wrapped at the base with an old ribbon, unlit, waiting. You assumed it was decorative, a leftover touch from someone before you, but on your third night, it lit itself, no match. No lighter, no spark, just a gentle hiss, like breath slipping through teeth, and then light. Small, still you. Didn't panic. You watched. The flame didn't dance, it didn't flicker, even as you moved. Even as the window let in a breeze, it stood, like a painting of fire rather than the thing itself. It never dripped. The wax stayed, clean, and though you tried once to pinch it out between your fingers, your hand passed through warmth. But no burn. That night, the room felt different. Not colder, not warmer, but more aware. Your dreams were strange. Not nightmares, just vivid. Memories of places you never visited, people you've never met. A lake under a black moon, a staircase that never ended. A voice always behind you, always speaking the words. Again, please. You wake. The candle is still burning, exactly the same height, exactly the same light. You decide to blow it out. One soft breath, nothing again. Harder this time. The flame leans, then returns. Still, you try to cup it, to suffocate it. Your hands grow warm, not hot, but the flame doesn't move. Instead, the shadows behind you shift, stretching, growing longer. The window reflects the room back to you, only now. There are more shapes than you remember. Figures at the edges, sitting, waiting, each with a small light in front of them, each with eyes that do not blink. You spin, no one's there, but the mirror across the room still shows them, and the candle burns. You and Botharu, you whisper, "What are you?" A whisper replies, not out loud, but from the candle itself. A vibration in your teeth. In your fingertips, I am what holds the dark back. You try again, a deep, focused breath. The flame bends, then stands tall, unafraid. You throw a glass over it. It stays lit. You place it inside a drawer. The light bleeds through the wood, not harsh, not bright, just persistent. You leave it overnight. The next morning, it's back on the nightstand. Same place, same height, same flame. You watch it longer. Begin to notice patterns when you think about someone you miss. The flame leans left. When you remember something you regret, it leans right. When you fall silent, it stands still, perfectly. You speak to it, small things, it listens, not with sound, but with weight. You ask again, "What are you?" It replies, a promise not kept. You feel something in your chest tighten, a memory you haven't met yet, a face you almost knew. You sit beside it at night, leave it burning when you sleep. The shadows on the wall move differently. They stretch further, wider, reaching not toward the flame, but around it, avoiding it. Afraid, you understand now. The candle is not just light, it's a ward, a line, a barrier. You stop trying to blow it out. You let it burn, and in the final hours before dawn, you begin to hear something new, a sound in the hall, ticking, but not from a clock. It's coming closer with each beat of the flame until it stops. Just outside your door, you rise, open it. The hallway is empty, but the candle behind you flares once, then stills, and the clock on the far wall stops ticking when the clock stopped ticking. It was the stillness that woke you, not silence that came later. Stillness, the kind that sinks beneath your skin, that touches every room, every corner, as if time itself has sat down to rest. You rise, instinct pulling you from bed. The candle, still burning, offers a soft glow that doesn't quite reach the corners of the room. The clock on your wall, brass-framed, pendulum slow, reads 3:11. You glance outside. Rain had been falling when you fell asleep. Now, the air is perfectly still. No tapping on the windows, no rustle of leaves, not even the faint creak of the roof. Timbers, you hold your breath, and the house seems to do the same. Then, a sound, low, metallic, from downstairs. Not the usual thump of settling wood, not a footstep, a chime, a long, slow toll. Once, then again, then silence. You check the clock, still 3:11. The second hand twitches, then stops. You listen. The ticking has ceased. You wait. But it does not resume. You leave your room. The hallway feels thinner than before, like it's been folded slightly inward. The portraits on the wall seem farther away, or perhaps you've become smaller. You reach the stair landing. The grandfather clock stands at the foot, tall and patient. It has always ticked, but not tonight. Its hands read 3:11, identical to yours. You step closer. The glass is fogged from the inside. You wipe it with your sleeve. Inside, the pendulum is motionless, but something else moves, a shape faint tucked. Behind the chime wait, you squint. It leans forward and speaks. Your full name, every syllable, every hidden vowel. Words no one uses anymore, not even you. You stumble back. Your shoulder brushes the frame of the hallway. Mirror, your reflection is gone. Only the grandfather clock is visible, stretched and rippling, as though viewed underwater. You whisper, "What do you want?" The mirror fogs over, and then clears. A sentence appears. You asked to stop remembering. You don't recall asking, but something in your chest recognizes it. A forgotten bargain. You step into the parlor. The radio is on, not playing music, just static, with a soft whisper behind it, as if someone is tuning slowly through your thoughts. The rain still has not returned. The trees outside hold, perfectly still. Not a branch sways. The air presses against the windows, like a held breath, and somewhere behind a wall, inside a drawer, under the floor, something begins to tick again, but not the clock. You dot your pulse, louder now, in your ears, in the floorboards, in the floorboards, in the hum of the walls. You try to speak, but the room listens first. You hear it in the wallpaper, a whisper, looping, "Don't forget me." You look at the clock again, still, 3:11, exactly unchanged. You go to the window, touch the glass. It's warm, though there's no sun. You open it slightly. No. Wind rushes in, but a single raindrop falls, upward, drawn, gently into the sky, as if undoing itself. You turn back. The mirror now reflects the clock alone, and it reads 3:10. You blink it. Changes 3:11. Again, always. You walk slowly back to your room. The candle is still burning, but tonight, the flame tilts like it's leaning to listen. You lie down, close your eyes, try to count the ticks that no longer sound, and just before sleep pulls you under, a voice speaks beside the bed. Time only stopped, because you asked it to, and somewhere in the house, the ticking resumes, but not forward, not backward, in circles, always. 3:11, always just beginning, and in the morning the rain will fall again, but only inside. The woman in the garden at 2:47 a.m. You wake just before 2:47. You always do now. Not because of a sound, there's never a sound, only that sense, like the rain has begun falling inside your chest. A quiet rhythm that pulses beneath your ribs, gentle, insistent. The house is silent, the way only a house can be when it's watching itself breathe. You sit at the edge of your bed and listen. Not for voices, not even for footsteps, just for the hush that comes before something grows. You make your way to the window, the one facing the back garden. It was just an overgrown patch when you moved in. Clay soil, shattered tile, a broken bird bath filled with ash and rainwater. But now something stirs in the dark earth. The clock reads 2:46, and then, almost gently, the porch light flickers once and stays off. You press your hand against the cool glass. Below, the garden ripples faintly, though no wind moves. And then, like a figure forming from smoke, she is there. The woman, she doesn't walk in, she emerges, as though she had always been kneeling there, her hands deep in soil, waiting for you to notice. Her back to you, clothed in something pale and heavy, maybe a dress, maybe a shroud. She moves with the silence of a prayer someone forgot to say aloud. Each motion is slow, deliberate. She doesn't dig, not exactly. She parts the soil with her palms like turning pages. You've never seen seeds, never seen tools, only the way. She touches the earth, like coaxing memory from mud. You don't speak. You've learned not to. The first night you called out, the garden froze. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of rain on stone, and she paused only briefly before vanishing in a blink, like she had been drawn into the dirt. You don't speak anymore. Now you watch. Each night, 2:47, she returns, and each morning something new blooms. It's never the same thing. Once, a tiny blue flower opened between bricks, though you're sure the bricks had been whole. Another morning, a row of mushrooms circled the sundial like a clock ticking backwards. One dawn, a small glass jar was nestled in the roots of the lavender bush, filled with something like smoke, but thicker and warm to the touch. You told yourself it was dreams. You told yourself it was mold. You told yourself the jar must have been there all along, but the soil was undisturbed, and the scent it gave off, honey and salt, stayed on your hands until sunset. She never looks at you, but she sees you. You can feel it in the way her shoulders rise, just slightly, when you exhale too loud, in the way her hands hesitate when you press your forehead to the glass. And sometimes she hums, not a song you know, not quite music, just a low, breathy thread of sound, like the memory of someone who once sang to you through water. You don't know who she is, but you've seen her before. Not here, not in this house, somewhere older, a dream perhaps, or a photo that wasn't of her, but made you think of her. The neighbors don't speak of the garden. They ask about the renovation. They comment on the stonework, but no one ever mentions what grows behind your fence. You tried, once, at the mailbox. You asked the woman from 3 doors down, the one who always smells faintly of mint and varnish. You asked if she'd noticed the plants blooming late. She smiled too fast, said, "It's nice to see someone taking care of the place again," and walked away before you could ask who did it last. You checked the deed. The previous owner left no notes, only the same thing written in the special conditions field. Do not disturb the soil behind the birch tree. You hadn't seen a birch tree when you moved in. Now one stands at the garden's edge, bark pale as bone, shedding like old paper. Tonight, the rain is heavier. It pools on the windowsill, collects along the seams of the old glass. She is already there, crouched low, but this time she's not planting, she's waiting. Her hands rest in her lap. She rocks slightly, the way a child does when trying to recall a song they once heard sung in a dream. Then she turns not her head, just her hand, slowly, until her palm faces upward, and something rises from the soil beside her. You lean in, heart quiet, body still. The shape is small, pale. You think it might be a root, or a bone, or a tooth, still wrapped in childhood. She places it gently beside her knees, then another, a pebble. No, a locket, then another, a folded piece of cloth, stained with age. By 3:04, there are 7 items in the row, each one unfamiliar, each one yours. Not things you own now, but things you once lost. A sock from your childhood, a note you tore and forgot, a paper star folded from a letter you never sent. Things only you would remember, things that should not be here. You step away from the glass. The rain still falls. She's humming again, but now the melody sounds familiar, like something your mother once hummed when the power went out, like the lullaby that played from the mobile above your crib, like the wind through reeds by the lake your uncle swore was haunted. You sit on the floor. You listen by 3:17. The garden is empty again. No sign she was ever there. Only the row of items, clean, dry, and waiting. You don't touch them, you never do, but in the morning they're gone. And the garden has changed. The birch tree has bloomed. Tiny silver leaves hang like coins from its branches. And underneath, a new plant curls up from the soil, its stem pulsing faintly, like it's breathing. You wonder what will come tomorrow. You wonder what she's trying to return. And as you turn from the window, ready for sleep, you think you hear something. From beneath the floorboards, not a creak, not a groan dot, just a low whistle, soft, rising dot, and perfectly in tune, the mirror that fogged from the inside. You wake again, not to a sound, not to a dream, but to the silence of something thinking nearby. The house breathes around you, slow and content. But there's a difference now. A tension in the air, like a held breath beneath the floorboards. You move through the hall with care, bare feet brushing against familiar patterns in the rug. It feels like early morning, though the sky outside still sleeps. Somewhere, a faucet drips not insistently, but rhythmically, like it's waiting. The bathroom door stands slightly ajar. It always does. But tonight, something makes you pause. There's no steam, no scent of soap or warmth. But the mirror is fogged, perfectly fogged. A smooth, even film, as though someone has been breathing, not just near it, but within it. The air is dry. You test the taps. No water runs. The sink is bone cold. The porcelain dusted with the soft grit of neglect. And yet the mirror remains clouded. You step closer. Your reflection barely breaks through the film. Just the faint outline of your eyes, to waiting shadows in a field of mist. Then you see it, the handprint. It presses slowly from behind the glass. Not a sudden slap. Not violent, deliberate, calm, like someone testing the boundary between there and here. The fingers are long, delicate, not stretched, resting. And just as your breath catches in your throat, the fingertips lift, not toward you, but upward, as though tracing something along the inside. The fog parts beneath the invisible pressure, and letters form wide, curved, unmistakable. Your initials, they fade before you can move, gone as quickly as breath on glass. The mirror is blank again, but you know what you saw. You feel it in your knees, in the way the tile feels colder than it should. You say nothing. You stay still. The mirror does not fog again. Not right away. But you notice something now. The edges. Along the border of the frame, tiny droplets. Not of condensation, but of ink. Black, glossy, thick. They don't run down. They rise. You wipe one with your finger. It leaves no mark on you, but the mirror darkens slightly where you touched. A shade deeper, a breath slower. You back away. The hallway light flickers, then steadies. And behind you, the mirror fogs once more. You don't look back until you're at the bedroom door. Even then, you glance only once and see the fog still rising, coiling like smoke that forgot how to disappear. The rest of the night passes, slowly, not in fear, but in thought. Something is reaching out, something that remembers you. At dawn, you return. The mirror is clear, no fog, no print, but now something rests on the counter. A comb, old Auden, smooth, as though handled. For years, you don't own it. You've never seen it before. But when you hold it, your fingers curl around it naturally, as though they always have. You brush it through your hair once, and the air around you thickens just a little, like standing beside someone who breathes in time with your thoughts. You set the comb down. It leaves a perfect imprint in the dust. The bathroom is quiet again. But that night, the mirror fogs a second time. This time, no initials. No handprint, just a shape, a spiral, drawn slowly as if inviting you inward. You sleep deeply that night, and dream only of lighthouses. Lighthouses without keepers, their lights flickering like memory through fog. The lighthouse without a keeper, the sea, lives farther than you remember. But tonight, it finds you. You dream of salt before your eyes even open, a windless brine that clings to your breath like you've spent the night sleeping beside something tidal. And in that moment between rest and waking, you hear the horn, low, long, not mournful, but aware, the way a creature might call not to be heard, but to remind itself it's still alive. You rise slowly. Outside, the world is still draped in storm-like clouds like old parchment pressed against a deepening sky. But far in the distance, across a horizon you cannot see, a flicker pulses. It's not lightning, it's too rhythmic. It blinks, then waits, then blinks again, like someone tapping a memory in code. You don't remember how you got to the shore, only that the sand is soft beneath your feet, and the path to the lighthouse has no footprints but yours. It's been like that for weeks. No boats, no tourists, only the sound of waves and that blinking light still shining from a tower that should have been locked long ago. The lighthouse is taller than it seems from afar, a spiral of age-stained stone rising out of mist and history. Its lantern room glows like a distant eye, searching for something it knows will never return. You step inside. The door creaks, not in protest, but like it expected you. Inside, the air is cool and heavy with salt. Rust decorates the railings, and the walls are tattooed with lichen and old charcoal markings, names, dates, drawings of ships and eyes and storms. You place your hand on the first stair. It's damp, not with rain, but with the hush of sea, air, and something else. Something warm, as though someone just touched it before you. You begin to climb. Each step has a sound, not quite an echo, not quite a creak. It's as if the lighthouse breathes with you, matching your pace, watching your ascent. Halfway up, you see it, a smear on the wall, like fingers, trailing. Not blood, not paint. Salt, just salt, drawn in the shape of an arrow, pointing up. You keep climbing. The light flickers again. You can feel it more than see it, a pulse behind your ribs. A signal you were always meant to feel, even before you knew what it meant. When you reach the lantern room, the door is ajar. You open it with 2 fingers. It swings inward, slow, quiet, and no one is there. The glass around the light is streaked with condensation from the inside, as though something breathed against it from within. Fogging the view, the beacon turns, smoothly, mechanically, but the power was cut years ago. You know this. The town sealed the lighthouse. Too expensive, too remote. But here it is, turning. Blinking, you look out across the Black Sea, and in that moment the light flickers once more, but this time you feel it change. You don't know Morse code, but your skin does. You shiver, not in fear, but in recognition. You reach for the lever to stop the light, not to break it, just to slow it, to see what it becomes when still. But before your hand touches it, you see them. Footprints, not yours, too small, and there in the corner, an oilskin journal, open to a page that reads, "He never left, he just faded." Now, the light keeps turning, so we remember. The ink is wet. You back away. The wind moans gently through the slats. The light turns again, and from the spiral stairs below, a sound rises. Not footsteps, not voices, a humming, soft, like someone singing to themselves while they polish the railing with sea-soaked hands. You don't wait to see who hums. You descend slowly, one step at a time. The song fades as you go, but your ears remember every note. When you reach the bottom, the sand is damp. A trail of smaller footprints leads to the water. They stop at the shore. No return prints, just an empty pair of boots laced, dry, your size. You leave them the next night. The lighthouse still flickers, but the pattern is different, and you swear. The light now points toward the house. The room that smelled like rain, the house is dry, but the air is not. You notice it first in your sleeves, a lingering damp that clings to fabric long after the rain outside has stopped. Your coat, once crisp, feels like it's been worn through fog. Even the hardwood floor seems to breathe cool beneath your bare feet. The windows are closed. The heater is off. No vents hum, yet still. The smell of rain, not ozone, not storm, but wet leaves, the scent of soil and bark, and the ghost of puddles evaporating in forgotten places. You light a candle to warm the air. The flame trembles, not from breeze, but memory. And somewhere in the walls, something creaks, not old, but soft, like a house remembering something it once tried to forget. You climb the stairs slowly. Your room welcomes you with silence. No flickering lights, no groaning beams, just the steady presence of something listening. You lean in, heart quiet, body still. The shape is small, pale. You think it might be a root, or a bone, or a tooth, still wrapped in childhood. She places it gently beside her knees, then another, a pebble, no, a locket, then another, a folded piece of cloth, stained with age. By 3:04, there are 7 items in the row, each one unfamiliar, each one yours, not things you own now, but things you once lost. A sock from your childhood, a note you tore and forgot, a paper star folded from a letter you never sent, things only you would remember, things that should not be here. You step away from the glass. The rain still falls. She's humming again, but now the melody sounds familiar, like something your mother once hummed when the power went out, like the lullaby that played from the mobile above your crib, like the wind through reeds by the lake your uncle swore was haunted. You sit on the floor. You listen by 3:17. The garden is empty again. No sign she was ever there. Only the row of items, clean, dry, and waiting. You don't touch them, you never do, but in the morning they're gone, and the garden has changed. The birch tree has bloomed. Tiny silver leaves hang like coins from its branches, and underneath, a new plant curls up from the soil, its stem pulsing faintly, like it's breathing. You wonder what will come tomorrow. You wonder what she's trying to return. And as you turn from the window, ready for sleep, you think you hear something from beneath the floorboards. Not a creak, not a groan dot, just a low whistle, soft, rising dot, and perfectly in tune, the mirror that fogged from the inside. You wake again, not to a sound, not to a dream, but to the silence of something thinking nearby. The house breathes around you, slow and content. But there's a difference now, a tension in the air, like a held breath beneath the floorboards. You move through the hall with care, bare feet brushing against familiar patterns in the rug. It feels like early morning, though the sky outside still sleeps. Somewhere, a faucet drips, not insistently, but rhythmically, like it's waiting. The bathroom door stands slightly ajar. It always does. But tonight, something makes you pause. There's no steam, no scent of soap or warmth, but the mirror is fogged. Perfectly fogged. A smooth, even film, as though someone has been breathing. Not just near it, but within it. The air is dry. You test the taps. No water runs. The sink is bone cold, the porcelain dusted with the soft grit of neglect. And yet the mirror remains clouded. You step closer. Your reflection barely breaks through the film. Just the faint outline of your eyes, to waiting shadows in a field of mist. Then you see it. The handprint. It presses slowly from behind the glass. Not a sudden slap. Not violent, deliberate, calm, like someone testing the boundary between there and here. The fingers are long, delicate, not stretched, resting, and just as your breath catches in your throat, the fingertips lift, not toward you, but upward, as though tracing something along the inside. The fog parts beneath, the invisible pressure, and letters form wide, curved, unmistakable. Your initials, they fade before you can move, gone as quickly as breath on glass. The mirror is blank again, but you know what you saw. You feel it in your knees, in the way the tile feels colder than it should. You say nothing. You stay still. The mirror does not fog again. Not right away. But you notice something now. The edges, along the border of the frame, tiny droplets. Not of condensation, but of ink. Dot. Black, glossy, thick. They don't run down. They rise. You wipe one with your finger. It leaves no mark on you, but the mirror darkens slightly where you touched. A shade deeper. A breath slower. You back away. The hallway light flickers, then steadies. And behind you, the mirror fogs once more. You don't look back until you're at the bedroom door. Even then, you glance only once and see the fog still rising, coiling like smoke that forgot how to disappear. The rest of the night passes, slowly, not in fear but in thought. Something is reaching out, something that remembers you. At dawn, you return. The mirror is clear. No fog, no print. But now, something rests on the counter. A comb, old wooden, smooth, as though handled. For years, you don't own it. You've never seen it before. But when you hold it, your fingers curl around it naturally, as though they always have. You brush it through your hair once, and the air around you thickens just a little, like standing beside someone who breathes in time with your thoughts. You set the comb down. It leaves a perfect imprint in the dust. The bathroom is quiet again, but that night, the mirror fogs a second time. This time, no initials. No handprint, just a shape, a spiral. Drawn slowly, as if inviting you inward. You sleep deeply that night, and dream only of lighthouses. Lighthouses without keepers. Their lights flickering like memory through fog. The lighthouse without a keeper, the sea, lives farther than you remember. But tonight, it finds you. You dream of salt before your eyes even open, a windless brine that clings to your breath like you've spent the night sleeping beside something tidal. And in that moment between rest and waking, you hear the horn, low, long, not mournful, but aware. The way a creature might call not to be heard, but to remind itself it's still alive. You rise slowly. Outside, the world is still draped in stormlight, clouds like old parchment pressed against a deepening sky. But far in the distance, across a horizon you cannot see, a flicker pulses. It's not lightning, it's too rhythmic. It blinks, then waits, then blinks again, like someone tapping a memory in code. You don't remember how you got to the shore, only that the sand is soft beneath your feet, and the path to the lighthouse has no footprints but yours. It's been like that for weeks. No boats, no tourists, only the sound of waves and that blinking light still shining from a tower that should have been locked long ago. The lighthouse is taller than it seems from afar, a spiral of age-stained stone rising out of mist and history. Its lantern room glows like a distant eye, searching for something it knows will never return. You step inside. The door creaks, not in protest, but like it expected you. Inside, the air is cool and heavy with salt. Rust decorates the railings, and the walls are tattooed with lichen and old charcoal markings, names, dates, drawings of ships and eyes and storms. You place your hand on the first stair. It's damp, not with rain, but with the hush of sea, air, and something else. Something warm, as though someone just touched it before you. You begin to climb. Each step has a sound, not quite an echo, not quite a creak. It's as if the lighthouse breathes with you, matching your pace, watching your ascent. Halfway up, you see it. A smear on the wall like fingers, trailing. Not blood, not paint. Salt, just salt. Drawn in the shape of an arrow, pointing up. You keep climbing. The light flickers again. You can feel it more than see it. A pulse behind your ribs. A signal you were always meant to feel, even before you knew what it meant. When you reach the lantern room, the door is ajar. You open it with 2 fingers. It swings inward. Slow, quiet, and no one is there. The glass around the light is streaked with condensation from the inside, as though something breathed against it from within. Fogging the view, the beacon turns, smoothly, mechanically. But the power was cut years ago. You know this. The town sealed the lighthouse. Too expensive, too remote, but here it is. Turning, blinking, you look out across the Black Sea, and in that moment, the light flickers once more. But this time, you feel it change. You don't know Morse code, but your skin does. You shiver, not in fear, but in recognition. You reach for the lever to stop the light, not to break it, just to slow it, to see what it becomes when still. But before your hand touches it, you see them. Footprints, not yours. Too small, and there, in the corner, an oilskin journal, open to a page that reads, "He never left. He just faded. Now." The light keeps turning, so we remember. The ink is wet. You back away. The wind moans gently through the slats. The light turns again, and from the spiral stairs below, a sound rises. Not footsteps, not voices. A humming, soft, like someone singing to themselves while they polish the railing with sea-soaked hands. You don't wait to see who hums. You descend slowly, one step at a time. The song fades as you go, but your ears remember every note. When you reach the bottom, the sand is damp. A trail of smaller footprints leads to the water. They stop at the shore. No return prints, just an empty pair of boots, laced dry your size. You leave them the next night. The lighthouse still flickers, but the pattern is different, and you swear. The light now points toward the house. The room that smelled like rain, the house, is dry, but the air is not. You notice it first in your sleeves, a lingering damp that clings to fabric long after the rain outside has stopped. Your coat, once crisp, feels like it's been worn through fog. Even the hardwood floor seems to breathe cool beneath your bare feet. The windows are closed. The heater is off. No vents hum, yet still. The smell of rain, not ozone, not storm, but wet leaves, the scent of soil and bark, and the ghost of puddles evaporating in forgotten places. You light a candle to warm the air. The flame trembles, not from breeze, but memory. And somewhere in the walls, something creaks, not old, but soft, like a house remembering something it once tried to forget. You climb the stairs slowly. Your room welcomes you with silence. No flickering lights, no groaning beams, just the steady presence of something listening. You close the door gently, then you pause. The room is dim, the kind of dim that doesn't change with time. And the ceiling, you hadn't noticed the stain, faint, circular. It blooms from the corner like a flower pressed between two pages. Not brown, not yellow, but grey, ash grey and growing. Each night it spreads. You mark it, you try to measure its reach, but in the morning it's always just past where it was. Your sheets feel damp now, not wet, just enough to chill the skin. Enough to make you wonder if rain has begun to fall in places you can't see. You check the attic. No leaks, no animals, just dust and the scent of time. Still, the rain persists. You place a bowl on the floor beneath the stain. In the morning, it's dry. In the evening, it rings faintly when you enter the room, as though something tapped its rim. From below, your dreams become shallow. You wake often. Each time, the scent stronger, like a forest floor after long footsteps. Then one night, you hear it. Not from the ceiling, from beneath the bed. A single droplet, then another. A rhythm, like light percussion on old wood. You kneel, heart calm, fingers curled into the blanket edge. You lift it. There is no puddle. No pipe, only the sound of water falling gently onto something not there. You reach your hand beneath, slowly, and touch. Warmth, not dry, not wet, just warm like breath. You pull back. That night, the ceiling stain pulses. You watch it throb. Gently with each breath you take, the bowl trembles again. You empty it, nothing inside, but your hands come away smelling of moss. You lie in bed, fully awake. The drizzle continues beneath you, soft, hypnotic, not alarming, just there. You begin to hum, without meaning to. A low tune, the same one you heard in the lighthouse. And as you hum, the rain beneath your bed stops. You wait, 10 seconds, 20 then. From the ceiling, a single drop. It lands on your pillow. Dark, silent. And when you touch it, your finger comes away. With ink. That morning, the stain has vanished. The bowl is gone. The candle has burned down to a puddle of wax in the shape of a fingerprint. You open the window to let in fresh air. But the breeze brings the smell back. Wet leaves, damp earth, and the sound of a distant whistle, rising from the floorboards. The boy who walked into a wall and never came out the hallway stretches like breath held too long. You've walked it 100 times, from the bedroom to the stairs, from the stairs to the study. But tonight, it feels different, not longer in distance. Longer in time, the floor creaks beneath your heel. A sound that lands and lingers, like it's being remembered by the wood, instead of made fresh. You pass the sconce with the flickering bulb. It never steadies. You've changed it twice. You move past the narrow cupboard. Inside it, nothing but a single glove. You didn't leave there, and then you reach the halfway point. The wall across from the old mirror, the spot where the wallpaper bubbles. You pause. That ripple wasn't always. There you run your hand across it. The paper shivers under your palm, soft, warm. Then a tap, faint, from within the wall. 3 short, 1 long. Then nothing. You step back, breath caught behind your teeth. The air smells faintly of dust and chalk. You wait silence. Then you touch the paper again, and the wall breathes, only slightly, like it flexed or sighed, as if it remembered you and was trying to say something through skin too thick. You peel the wallpaper back, slowly, gently. Beneath it a name, Thomas, written in a child's hand, slanted and low to the floor. Next to it, a shaped stick. Figure, arms wide, smiling. You keep pulling. More handwriting, a list. I live here now, don't forget my marble. Tell Mum I'm not scared, your throat tightens. You sit on the floor, the wood cool beneath you, and lean against the wall. It feels warm. There are no seams, no secret door, but you begin to remember. Not a full memory, just a moment. A story someone once told you about a boy from the neighborhood, a child who played hide and seek in this house. When it was filled with cousins and wartime candles, they said he was last seen running down the hallway, laughing, turning the corner, and never came out. The adults searched for hours, pulled up floorboards, searched the garden, called the police. Nothing, no scream, no blood, just one echoing laugh, and then silence. You rise to your feet and press your ear to the wall. It's warm, too warm. You knock, 3 short taps, and the wall knocks back. The sound comes from the same height as the child's handwriting. Not loud, not aggressive, just a single knock. Steady, like someone very small was sitting on the other side with a hand resting on their knee, waiting to be remembered. That night, you place a marble at the foot of the wall. You don't know why. In the morning, it's gone, but in its place, a drawing dot fresh. Stick figures, 1 tall, 1 small, both smiling. You run your fingers across the chalk. Still dusty, still real. You peel more paper. The names multiply, like Thomas has been practicing. Sometimes he adds details, a balloon, a cloud, a house dot one day, a lighthouse dot another, a woman in a garden. You start talking to the wall. Not full conversations, just greetings, comments you say, "Good night, Thomas," and sometimes the light flickers back in reply. One morning, you wake to find a paper airplane on the rug, folded from yellowed notebook paper. Inside it, "Don't worry, I'm okay here. You can come visit when it's time." The hallway feels shorter now, like Thomas has stopped hiding and started showing you the way. And just before sleep one night, you hear him again, not knocking, not laughing, just breathing slow and calm through the wall behind your headboard. You don't move, you let the sound rock you, and as you drift, you imagine a door, a small one, painted black. With no frame, it appears only in dreams. The drawer that locks from the inside it begins with a sound. Sharp, sudden. A wooden thud that startles you from sleep. You wait. Nothing follows. No footsteps. No shifting floors. Just the lingering echo of something. Closed in the morning, your desk drawer is shut. The middle one, the one you always leave open, just slightly. You reach to slide it out. It doesn't budge. No lock, no keyhole, but it's sealed tight. You try again. It holds fast, as though something behind it is pressing back, hand flat against the inside. You leave it for now. It's only a drawer. By evening, your pen is gone. The one with the blue resin body, the one that leaves an ink scent like summer fields. You kept it there, always. It's not the kind of thing you misplace. In its place, a button, worn tarnished brass, still threaded, like it had been recently cut. It doesn't belong to anything you own. You set it on the windowsill, that night. You sleep lightly, again. The sound, not just a thud this time, a slam. Not angry, but final. The sound of a decision made. You sit up, the drawer is closed again. Though you'd left it open before bed. You check it in the morning, still stuck, but now slightly ajar. You see inside a folded note, aged at the corners. You pull it free, written in childlike script, uneven and faint. This isn't yours. Either beneath the note your pen, but it feels different, heavier. You uncap it, no ink, only dust. That night, you inspect the drawers, inner walls with a flashlight, scratches, deep ones. Not from damage, but letters scratched into the wood, written from the inside backwards, as if someone had written them facing out. You mirror them using a small piece of foil. I wanted to give it back, but I had to take something first. You. Shiver. The air in the room stills. Even the shadows hesitate. The next day, a spool of thread appears in the drawer. You don't sew. You never have. But it's warm, still unwinding, as if freshly used. You follow the thread to your closet. Nothing there, just a faint humming, low, almost mechanical. That night, you dream of a small room, wooden walls, a single drawer in the center. It breathes. When you wake, your earring is gone, and in the drawer, a dried petal pressed perfectly flat. You begin keeping track. For every object you lose, a replacement appears, not equal, not even similar, but connected. Symbolically, intimately, your scarf disappears. You find a ribbon, embroidered, with your childhood nickname stitched in thread the color of your birthstone. Your keychain vanishes. The drawer returns, a ticket stub, from a train you've never taken to a city you once dreamt of. Sometimes, you hear whispers from the wood, tiny syllables too soft to follow, like the drawer is trying to apologize for what it keeps. You wonder if it remembers what you forgot, if it holds not just items, but moments. One day, it stays shut for 3 nights in a row. You leave offerings. A thimble, a seashell, a piece of string tied like a wish. On the 4th day, the drawer opens quietly, without force. Inside, a photo, black and white, curled at the edges. It's you, but younger, standing at a desk you don't recognize, smiling at a drawer half open. You don't remember this moment, but your fingers do dot the grain of that wood, the smooth edges, and on the back, written in ink, "Thank you for trading." You run your hand along the drawer's edge. It hums softly under your skin, like it knows it's been seen. You leave it open that night. Nothing slams, nothing shifts, only silence, and the faint sound of water dripping again from somewhere deeper in the house. The footsteps on the ceiling your ceiling should not speak, but it does, softly at first, like a whisper left over from another floor. But you live alone, and you live on the top floor. The building has no attic. The blueprint says so, just roof beams, insulation, sky. But still, the footsteps, they begin just past midnight. A gentle shift of weight, then another, pacing, deliberate, not erratic or stumbling, steady, as if someone is thinking. Walking out a decision, 1 footfall at a time. You lie in bed and count the steps. 7 forward, pause, 3 back, turn, then again, the first night. You assume creaking wood, expansion, contracting joists. The house breathing its own rhythms, but the dust dislodged from the ceiling that was new, fine, and grey, like ash from a chimney that never existed. It falls silently, settling on your pillow like something waiting to be seen. You sweep it up, it returns the next night, and the footsteps grow bolder. You press your ear to the ceiling, nothing, then the creak. Right above you, you knock once the sound stops. For 10 long seconds, the house listens. Then 2 knocks back, you freeze. It felt polite, not demanding. A response, as if someone above was simply confirming they were not alone. You sleep lightly after that, not from fear, but attention. Every night, the footsteps resume. Sometimes they circle, sometimes they pause. Once, they run a short burst, like a child crossing a playground. But there is no one above you. You ask the landlord. They smile tightly. Old buildings shift, they say. Nothing above you but rafters. You ask if there was ever a tenant on a higher floor. They frown. Not since the fire. You ask what fire. They change the subject. That night, you wake to a new sound. Breathing not heavy, but present, directly above your bed. A long inhale, then silence, and just before you drift off again, a single footstep, closer than the rest. The beam above your pillow groans. In the morning, there's more dust, and something else, a shoe print, small, faint, pressed into the layer of dust. On the floor beside your bed, but upside down, as though it had stepped from the ceiling down into your room. You stare at it for a long time. You take a photo. By afternoon, the print is gone. You buy a stepladder, climb it slowly, examine the ceiling, no trapdoor, no hatch. But your fingers find something, a thin groove in the corner above the wardrobe. You press it, nothing happens, but the ceiling feels warmer there, like the sun has been resting its palm on that one spot for years. You start leaving notes, just simple ones, slipped under the wardrobe, taped to the ceiling. Hello, are you all right? Do you need help? The next night, your pen is missing, and on the ceiling, written in faint soot, I walk so you remember me. You begin to recognize the rhythm. 7 steps, a pause, 3. Turn. It mirrors the sound of your pacing when you think too hard. You mimic the steps during the day. Walking slowly from room to room, you start to feel like you're retracing a path someone else left behind. One evening, you come home to find the light bulbs in the hallway unscrewed, but placed gently on the floor, arranged in a perfect circle in the center. A child's marble. You remember Thomas, the drawer, the wall, the note. You think maybe they're not separate, that the house is a single story told by different voices, and yours is just one more echo. That night, the footsteps stop midway through the pacing. Silence, then a breath, then a creak, not from above, but from the hallway outside your bedroom. You step out. No one there, but the floor is warm, and faintly, your ceiling hums. The next morning, you find a footprint on the wall, still faint, still upside down, but this time, there's a second one beside it, as if someone had stood briefly watching. You sleep from above, and beside your pillow, a small folded note. You're walking too, just not where you think. You don't sleep that night, but it's not out of fear. It's that you feel like you're about to arrive somewhere beneath your own roof. Somewhere someone has been waiting. Just before dawn, you feel the weight above you shift once, then rise, then vanish, and the ceiling for the first time is silent. Her voice came from the vent you never meant to hum. It just happens, soft, absent-minded, the kind of sound you make when your thoughts feel too large to hold it. Slips out in the hallway, a lullaby without words, a shape made of breath and memory. You reach the bathroom door, still humming, still thinking of the footprint, the ceiling, the pacing that stopped too soon. You turn on the tap, cool water flows. You wash your hands, slowly letting the tune drift from your throat like steam. And then she answers, not loud, not immediate, just beneath. Your own melody, a second voice, higher, smoother, echoing your tune from somewhere you cannot see. You freeze. It doesn't. The voice keeps going. A harmony that lifts your humming into something real. You stare at the vent. It's old. Thin metal slats painted over too many times. You've never thought of it as anything but a source of cold air. But tonight, it exhales. The sound is soft, wet, like moss on stone, like wind drifting through a cave that never quite dried out. You kneel, the tiles cold beneath your knees. The vent hums back at you, a different tune now, familiar, a song your mother used to hum when folding laundry on rainy afternoons. You haven't thought of it in years, and yet here it is, perfect, precise, but slower, as if the memory had been filtered through time, carried in someone else's lungs. You whisper, "Who are you?" The voice stops, then resumes. But now it's speaking, not words, but the shape of words. A hush that brushes your thoughts before they form. You think of rain. The vent whispers, drizzle. You think of your name. The voice sighs, yours. You back away slowly. The vent grows quiet. That night, you write a note, fold it neatly, place it under the vent. What do you remember? You wake to find it gone. In its place, a ribbon, frayed at the end. Still, warm. It smells of rosemary. You listen to the vent often now, not out of fear, out of rhythm. The house sings to itself, and you've begun to learn the verses. Sometimes the vent hums before you do. Sometimes it finishes your sentence before. You speak one morning. You ask aloud, "Are you alone?" The vent replies, "Not since you came." You begin to think. Maybe she was always here, not haunting, not hiding, just waiting for someone who knew how to hum back. You place a recorder beside the vent one night. Leave it running, no questions, no prompts, just the soft sound of the house breathing in sleep in the morning. You play it back, static, then her voice, not humming, not whispering, speaking, slowly, gently. You left the garden gate open. It's growing again. You don't remember going outside, but when you check, the back door is unlatched. The grass is wet, and new flowers bloom where there was only stone the day before. You ask the vent, "Do you know her?" The woman in the garden, no reply. But that night you hear a duet, two voices, yours and hers, singing together through the dark. One high, one low, both familiar. You lie on the tile floor, ears to the vent, breath held still. The song ends. And then she speaks. "I only borrow your breath. You always get it back." You fall asleep beside the vent, and in your dream, you're back in the hallway, the wallpaper peeling, and someone behind the wall is singing what you were just about to think. The umbrella left open indoors, it's there when you come home, standing in the far corner of the sitting room, open wide, full and dripping. A black umbrella, plain, wooden handle, canvas slick with rain that hasn't fallen in days. You didn't bring it in. You don't even own one like it. But there it stands, in the one corner that always stays cold no matter the season. You stare for a moment, wait for your mind to rearrange. Things, did you leave it there? Did a friend stop by? No, you were alone when you left. The door was locked, and yet, there it is. The floor beneath it glistens. Small pools forming slowly, like the rain continues to fall only onto that canvas. Only inside the house. You step closer. The umbrella doesn't move, but the air shifts slightly. Cooler, wet, not unpleasant, just unexpected. You don't close it, you don't touch it. You simply place a towel underneath and turn on the lamp. The lamp flickers, once dot, then steadies. You make tea. The kettle takes longer than usual to boil. The steam curls, oddly, not rising but drifting toward the umbrella. It's as though the umbrella is breathing, taking in the warmth, letting out the rain. You sip quietly and keep glancing toward the corner. Still open, still wet, still dripping in perfect rhythm. By midnight, the puddle has not grown, but the room feels heavier, like weather, like memory. You go to bed in the morning. The umbrella is still open, but dry, not a single drop remains. The towel beneath it, however, is soaked through. You wring it out, and underneath, scratched lightly into the floorboards, a word. Soon you leave the umbrella where it is. Something about it feels anchored, not dangerous, not haunting, but present, needed. The next evening, you watch the sky darken. Still no sign of rain, but by the time you return to the sitting room, the umbrella is wet again, dripping, not from the ceiling, not from above, but from itself. The canvas soaks from within, each drop perfectly spaced, like a metronome for something unseen. You kneel beside it. The handle is warm. The fabric glistens, dark, but not torn. And inside you see something odd. Not the ribs of the frame, not the usual underside of an umbrella. Inside, a reflection of a place that isn't this room. A stone walkway, a wrought iron gate, a bench, beneath a tree heavy with blossoms. But the blossoms are wet, swaying, though there's no breeze inside your house. You don't blink, you don't lean in, you simply observe. And as you do, a figure walks past the bench, holding an umbrella. Just like this one, same curve, same cloth. You whisper, "Is that you?" The figure doesn't look back, but the umbrella in the corner shivers once. Gently, that night, you dream of walking in the rain but never getting wet, of someone humming nearby and a voice whispering beneath their breath, "Leave it open, I'm not done." You wake at dawn. The floor is dry, the umbrella closed, but only halfway. Its frame collapsed, leaning softly to one side, like it had grown tired. You reach out, fold it completely. As your fingers touch the handle, you hear the soft sound of rain inside your ears, not real, but deep, like a memory shared. You set it gently by the door, and that night it is back in the corner, open, dripping. The puddle shimmers even though no lights are on, and beside it a pair of wet footprints, small, bare, pointing inward, toward the umbrella and toward you, the house that forgot you lived. There the house used to greet you. A soft click of the lock, a gentle creak in the floorboards, like an old friend adjusting its weight in a chair. But now, nothing. You turn the key and the door hesitates, as if considering whether to open. You push gently. It yields, but not because it remembers you. Because it dothes inside, the air is cool. Not cold, just indifferent. The hallway light doesn't come on. You flip the switch 3 times. Nothing. You check the bulb. It's fine. The bathroom light works. The kitchen flickers. The bedroom doesn't recognize your touch. The switch stays still, as though it were never meant for your fingers. You walk through each room slowly. Like a guest, you say your name aloud, just to hear it echo, and outside, the rain begins. Not steady. Not natural. It starts the moment you speak. Grows heavier the longer you stand. You whisper your name again. The gutters groan. Water slams the windows. You stop speaking. The rain fades. Your breath stays suspended in the air. A question left unanswered. You check the mailbox out front. Just once. Your nameplate, the one you slid in when you moved here, is gone. In its place, a blank brass tab, tarnished slightly at the corners. Inside the box, a letter, unaddressed, unsealed. You open it. The page is empty, but the back, smudged with fingerprints, 5 of them, all yours. You step back inside. The living room feels a little larger now, like it's pulling away from you inch by inch. You look to the mantel. The photos all blank, not removed, still framed. But the faces have faded, yours included. Only the frame's shape remembers what was once held. You touch one, and the glass is cold, colder than the rain. The doors begin to close behind you now. Softly, not slamming, not slapping, just final. The way a sigh closes a conversation. You open a window to let in air, but nothing moves. The curtains stay still. The scent of rain hovers just outside reach. You light a candle. It dims quickly, then returns. The flame feels slow, like it's considering your presence before deciding to dance. You hum, not loudly, just enough to remind the walls you're still here. And from the kitchen, a drawer opens, not wide, just enough for a sliver of shadow to peek out. Inside it, a spoon, warm, but not yours. You walk upstairs. Your footfalls don't echo like they used to. No creaks, no greeting groans. The steps forget you one by one. In your room, the mirror shows your reflection, but faint, like it's not sure who you are. You smile into it. It delays, then follows. The ceiling above you bare no stain, no dust, no memory. The umbrella in the corner is gone. The towel you left beneath it, dry, folded, and resting on your pillow as if someone had prepared your bed. You sit down. Your body doesn't sink into the mattress like it used to. It resists, not firmly, not rudely, just enough to feel like you're trying to rest on a name that's no longer yours. That night, the vents don't sing. The drawer doesn't lock. The wall is silent. The ceiling doesn't walk. And the silence is the loudest. You write a note. I'm still here. You leave it on the floor in the hallway where Thomas once tapped in the morning. The note remains, but the ink has vanished. Only the faint pressure of the pen remains, etched into nothing. You try one last thing, the oldest photograph you have. You hold it to your chest and whisper your name again. The rain slams the house. Wind rattles the windows. The lights flicker and die. The floor hums, and upstairs, a door creaks open. You walk slowly. The candle in your hand dims but does not die. At the top of the stairs, your bedroom glows faintly. The door wide. Inside, everything arranged exactly as you left it on the first night you moved in. Even the umbrella. Closed, leaning against the chair you don't remember owning. You step inside. The walls breathe again. The mirror reflects you clearly now. The air warms, and from the corner of the room, a voice, soft, gentle, curious, says your name like it's being remembered for the first time in years. The telephone that calls itself you haven't used. The landline in years. It sits on the hallway table, dusted weekly. Ignored daily, unplugged, disconnected, silent until now. The first ring comes at 3:09 a.m. Sharp, clear, out of place. You wake instantly. Not from the sound itself, but from the certainty that it shouldn't be possible. You sit up in bed. The house holds its breath. A second ring, familiar, old-fashioned. The sound of a time that no longer fits. You walk slowly down the hallway, bare, feet brushing across a runner that feels colder than it should. The phone glows softly. Its screen flickers once, then stabilizes. Incoming call, you freeze. It doesn't stop. Ring, ring. You reach for the receiver. The plastic is warm, too warm, like it's been pressed to a cheek only moments before. You answer, at first silence, then static, soft, crackling like distant thunder over wet leaves. You listen closely. The static swells, fades, and then a voice, small, childlike, speaking slowly, like repeating a line from a half-remembered song. Come back. You hold your breath. Who is this? More static, a pause. Then again, come. Back. You swallow. I'm here. I never left. Silence. Then a long inhale, as though the speaker was about to say more, but decided against it. And then the click, not from your side, from theirs. Deliberate, certain. The line goes dead. You look at the screen. It no longer glows. The cord trails to the floor, unplugged still. You check your call log, blank. You place the receiver back and return to bed. But sleep doesn't follow. Instead, at 3:09 the next night, the phone rings again. Same screen, same name. Yours. This time, you wait for rings. Then pick up. The voice is clearer now. Not loud, but close. It says, I left something behind. You whisper, what? A pause. Then, you. And the line cuts out. You stare at the receiver, then at your own hands. They feel unfamiliar. Or maybe the house does. You spend the next day searching. Drawers, boxes, closets, looking for anything out of place. You find an envelope in the attic, sealed, unmarked. Inside a lock of hair, a photo of your younger self, but in clothes you don't remember owning, and a ticket stub, train, outbound, no return. You begin to question which memories are yours and which have been left for you. That night, you wait by the phone. 3:08, no. Sound, .3:09. It rings. You answer instantly. This time, the voice speaks faster. Why did you stop coming? I'm here, you say again. No, it replies. You're a memory now. You faded. I stayed. The static rises, not as noise, but as emotion. A trembling, a storm, trying to form a sentence. You whisper, who are you? The answer comes in a whisper. I'm who you would have been. The line clicks, but this time, the screen doesn't go dark. It displays a message. Voicemail, one new message. You play it back. It's a song, faint, echoing through a hallway lined with peeling wallpaper. You recognize the tune. The vent sang it. So did the drawer. So did the garden. And then, at the end of the recording, a voice you don't recognize, but know deeply. If you answer again, I can find the door. You don't sleep. At sunrise, you find your name reappeared on the mailbox, scrawled, not typed, written in a child's hand. That night, the phone rings at 3:09, and for the first time, you don't answer. You let it ring, and with each ring, the rain grows softer until it sounds like it's coming from inside the line. The raincoat left hanging by the river. The walk begins without meaning. You follow the path along the riverbank, where the air always tastes a little older, where mist lingers longer than it should, even after the sun has risen. The trees sway gently, though there's no wind, and beneath your shoes, the gravel feels soft, as if it had been stepped on by the same feet for generations. The river moves slow today, grey-green, silent, dragging secrets beneath its skin. You round the bend, and there it is, the yellow raincoat, still swaying slightly, hanging from a rusted iron hook, driven into the side of an old stone shelter no one uses anymore. The coat is clean, dry, pressed, smooth, as if freshly laundered. Even the buttons gleam faintly, like eyes that have watched for a long time. You stop. You've seen this before. Not here. Not in waking, but in dreams. And not always in this color. Sometimes red, sometimes green, but always waiting, always familiar. You look around. No one, just trees, river, the low hum of distance. You step. Closer, the tag inside the collar flutters open. There's a name. It's been scrubbed away. Only a faint ink trail remains, a curve, a half loop, like the start of your first initial dot. You reach out, touch the fabric, warm, not sun-warmed, body-warmed. You lift it gently from the hook. The coat unfolds with a slow exhale. The sleeves dangle like tired arms. And when you slip it on, it fits perfectly, not just in size. In memory, like coming back to a version of yourself that waited by the river for the rest of you to arrive. You check the pockets, left a marble blue, the kind Thomas would have loved. Right, a matchbook, empty, stamped with a logo you almost recognize, a lighthouse inside a garden gate. The world feels quieter now. You glance back at the hook, empty but not lonely, just expectant. You continue your walk, coat buttoned. The mist clings to everything except you. Not a drop touches the yellow fabric. The river splashes once. You don't turn around. By the time you reach the footbridge, you've remembered something. A story, your grandmother's voice. There's a coat that remembers who wore it last. If it fits, it forgives, but it never forgets. You smile, though you don't know why. Back home, you hang the coat on the back of the door. It dries nothing. It needs to. You go to sleep that night with your window cracked. The breeze smells of stone and memory, and just before you drift off, you hear the rain, not outside. Inside the coat, soft, gentle, like it's keeping something alive inside its seams. In the morning, the coat is gone. You check the door, the floor, the hallway, nothing but by the river. The hook holds it again, dry, waiting. You don't take it this time. You just nod and walk home in silence. That evening, someone knocks at the door. When you open it, there's no one there, only a package inside. The coat folded, and beneath it, a photograph. A child facing the river, wearing the same coat. The caption reads, "Don't forget who you were when you were dry." You hang the photo on your wall. It fades the next day. Just slightly enough to make you look twice. Enough to remind you of someone who once waited for someone else to come home. The door that only appears in dreams. You dream again, but this time you're running. Your feet touch nothing, no ground, no floor, only a sensation of motion, forward and inevitable. You aren't chased, you aren't fleeing, but you are running because something inside you says you must. The sky is dim, not night, not day, but the in-between shade of memory and ahead. Through trees that ripple like water, you see the willow dot, always the willow. Its branches sway in slow arcs, like arms underwater. Its trunk wide, cracked, and sheltering something behind it. You know what's there, even before you see it. The black door, no frame, no hinges, just a door, leaning upright, impossibly still. It has no handle, not until you need it. You reach it just as the sky ripples with thunder. That's when you usually wake, but tonight your hand is already on the knob. It's cool, smooth, brass maybe, or bone. You grip it gently. The door does not resist. It hums, not a sound, a feeling, like a story remembering its own beginning. You turn the knob and the dream does not end. The door swings open with a slow, impossible silence. Inside, fog, grey, warm, swirling with light that doesn't seem to come from anywhere at all. You step through, the fog parts around you. Not entirely, just enough, and ahead. A corridor, walls of stone, lined with wallpaper you recognize from the hallway outside. Your bedroom, peeling, faded, still soft to the touch. You move forward. Each footstep lands with a gentle echo, like walking across someone's whispered thoughts to your left. A door, the wooden kind, paint-chipped, painted yellow. You open it. Inside, a child's room, wallpaper of clouds, a marble on the floor, a coat yellow draped across the bed. No one is there, but the bed is warm. You close the door. Further down the corridor, a second door, black dot. The mirror you keep in your hallway is mounted to it, but the reflection is not yours. It's the house, empty, lit by candlelight, and in one corner, a desk drawer slowly closes itself. You reach for the knob. It swings open before you touch it. Inside, a staircase, winding up, wooden, the steps damp, like they've been walked by wet boots for years. You climb. At the top, a room, walls of glass, a rotating light in the center, the lighthouse, but the sea is gone, only mist, thick, endless, soft as breath. You walk toward the glass. The light rotates slowly. Each sweep brushes your skin like a memory. And then a voice behind. You, soft, uncertain, familiar. I've been waiting. You turn. There is no one, only a third door, smaller, painted dark red, scratched into its surface, faint but certain. Yours. You press your palm to it. It swings open, not away from you, but around you, folding the room into itself. And then you wake in your bed, breath steady, sheets cool. You look to the wall, no willow tree, but there on your nightstand, a key, small, dark, red, its teeth shaped like the number 29. You hold it. It vibrates faintly, like it still belongs to something just behind your eyes. You place it in your pocket, and that night you dream again. You're running toward the willow, and the door is already open. The empty chair on the porch, you wake to the sound of wood moving. Wood, not scraping, not creaking, rocking. A soft back and forth, measured and rhythmic, like someone thinking with their entire body. You rise, pull on your robe, and step softly toward the front of the house. The porch light is off. but moonlight spills across the floorboards, cool and still, and there, in its usual place, the wooden rocking chair, swaying though the air is still. No breeze, no sound, but that quiet movement. You step onto the porch. The floor groans beneath. You, in a way, the chair never does. The rocking continues, slow, certain, patient, beside the chair. On the small table you never remember buying sits a teacup, delicate, porcelain, steam rising from its surface. You lean down, breathe it in, chamomile and rosemary, the kind your mother made on days when the world needed softening. You don't touch the cup, not yet. Instead, you step back. The chair does not stop. You sit on the porch swing. Across from it, you watch the chair rocks and rocks on until the steam begins to fade. You glance toward the woods beyond the yard, dark silhouettes, thick trunks, a line of trees that always seem a little closer than they were the day before. The chair faces them, always, never turned inward, never turned toward the house, only outward, only watching. You ask aloud, are you waiting for someone? The screen door behind you creaks, but no one steps out. You turn, nothing there but your dog, who usually curls at your feet, is sitting in the doorway, ears back, body tense. He does not cross the threshold. He won't. Not tonight. You whistle gently. He does not move. Only whimpers, eyes fixed on the chair. You turn back. The chair has stopped. Not suddenly, not sharply, just come to rest. The cup is empty now. You walk over, touch the porcelain, still warm. The rocking chair feels colder than the air, its arms smooth, but worn down at the ends, as though held often by the same hands. You check the bottom, no markings, no names, but on the cushion, faintly embroidered, always tomorrow. You sit down. Just for a moment, it doesn't rock for you. Not right away, only after you exhale. Fully then, the chair sways. Once, twice, as though acknowledging your weight, your name, your remembering. And in that moment, you feel it, a presence, not beside you, not behind you. Within the motion, a rhythm that isn't yours, but welcomes you. You sit for a while. The woods stay still. The air grows heavier. And just before dawn, as the sky softens to the color of old parchment, the screen door creaks again. This time, you don't turn. You just smile. Because whoever was coming has already arrived and left something behind when you finally rise. You see another cup on the table, full, fresh, still steaming. You don't remember making it, but it's your blend. You sip, it's warm. And when you set it down, the chair rocks once on its own, then stills, waiting again for tomorrow. The whistle beneath the floor you first hear it during a storm. A low whistle, not sharp, not tuneful, just two soft notes, barely there, rising, then gone. It comes just after midnight, when the rain has begun to settle, when the windows sweat and the pipes hold their breath. You freeze. Wait, nothing, only the tick of the kitchen clock. You shake it off. A breeze, maybe, the wind, but the next night you hear it again. Same notes, the same rise, a pause, as though it's waiting for a response. But you don't know the melody, not yet. By the third night, you begin to expect it. You sit in the hallway, where the floor dips slightly near the vent and the rug. Never quite stays flat. The whistle comes again, muffled, gentle, as if traveling a great distance through memory. And would you lie flat, ear to the boards? The sound is clearer here, close, and something more. Not just sound, but breath. You feel it, a warmth that rises between the gaps. Not hot, not cold, just alive. You whisper into the floor, softly, I hear you. The whistle pauses, then repeats. Same two notes, always the same. You hum them back, not perfectly, but enough. The silence after is heavier, deeper. You wait. No response then. A third note, lower, unexpected, then gone. You don't sleep well that night. Not from fear, from wondering what the third note meant. The next day you pull back the rug. The floorboards beneath are older than the rest, darker, scratched. One in particular has a thin crack running through it, straight and deliberate, as if someone once tried to open it from the inside. You kneel, place your palm against it. The warmth remains. You knock. 3 short taps, nothing then. 2 notes, rising, and something else, scratching, like fingernails against wood, but soft. Careful, you fetch a screwdriver, not to pry, just to feel. The edge slips easily into the crack. Too easily, you pause. Beneath the board, a sigh, or something like one. You sit back and wait. That night, the whistle comes again, but this time you don't listen. You answer. You hum all 3 notes. In rhythm, you add a 4th, a guess, a gift, and the breath beneath the board stirs. You sleep on the hallway floor, head resting on the rug, and you dream of tunnels, of dust, of rooms with no ceilings, and voices with no mouths, and someone, small, soft-footed, whistling while they walk beneath you when you wake. The rug is folded back neatly, and on the floorboard, drawn in ash, almost there. You press your ear down again, and the tune comes clearer, this time, for notes. Now, each one reaching. You hum them back, and then a knock. Just one, but it echoes. Longer than it should. That night, just before rain begins again, you sit beside the board, hands on your knees, eyes closed. You hum the full tune, and this time, beneath you. It hums back, low, tired, grateful, and then it finishes the song. Not just the 4 notes, a whole melody, one you've never heard, but know completely. It fills your chest like breath that never left. When it ends, you whisper, "Are you free now?" The boards don't reply, but they feel lighter, as if someone finally stood up from beneath them and walked away. The book that reads itself. It's not a book you bought, not one you remember owning, but it sits on your writing desk like it's always been there. Leather-bound, thick edges, gold-leafed, and faded with breath. You notice it first when the house grows still. After the whistle, after the chair, after the umbrella stops dripping. The room around it feels softer, as though the walls lean in slightly to listen. You reach for it. The cover feels like memory, like a coat sleeve worn by someone you loved, but no longer know by name. You open it, blank pages, dozens of them, smooth, untouched. You run your fingers down the paper. The grain is too fine, like it's been pressed between years. You close the book and leave it alone. You don't even write your name inside. But the next morning, it's open, a single page turned, ink still drying. You lean in, it's your dream. Word for word, the whistle, the breath beneath the floor, the ash-scrawled message, almost there, written in your voice, but with a rhythm you couldn't have recalled. You flip the page, blank. You try to remember if you got up in the night, if you wrote it yourself, but you never touched a pen. The book stays on the desk. You start leaving it closed, pressed beneath a paperweight, secured. Still, it opens, new pages each morning. Descriptions you recognize, moments you didn't know, were being recorded. Sometimes it writes what you dreamed, sometimes what you almost did. Once what you were about to say, but didn, single quotes. The ink glistens, always fresh, never smudged. You begin reading it nightly, like checking your own shadow for news. The voice on the page is calm, never urgent, but insistent. It wants you to remember. You try to respond. You write a note in the margin. Small. Who are you? In the morning, your question remains. But beside it, new handwriting. You, but later. You sit back. The air smells faintly of pine and pages turned in winter. Each entry grows longer now, more detailed. The dreams deepen. One page reads, "Tonight, you'll walk to the door." Again, you won't wake up this time. That night, you do. Behind the willow, the door waits, open, and the corridor is longer, wider, lit by lanterns that flicker even though there's no wind. When you wake, the book has already written it down, including the details you hadn't yet remembered, including the smell of the lantern oil, including the message carved into the floor. Chapter 32. You flip to the last page. It's blank, mostly, but in the top corner, ink begins to form. Slowly, letter by letter, you watch it appear. And as they turned the final page, the room around them began to listen. You look up. The lamp glows a little brighter. The dust motes in the air move rhythmically. The floor creaks once, softly, like punctuation. You return to the book. The final lines appear. There is still one more chapter, but you must be asleep. To find it, you close the book, hold it to your chest. That night, you dream of pages, falling like leaves, and a house that hums as it reads you back to yourself.